spree.
Fox's Karen McHugh. An unbelievable prison break in France seems almost too unbelievable.
3 heavily armed accomplices land a helicopter in the courtyard of the Row prison, plucking Redouane Faïd out of there. Faïd serving a 25-year sentence for a botched 2010 robbery where a cop was killed. The helicopter leaves and was set on fire, found by police hours later. Before the 2010 failed robbery, the gangster served a decade in prison for several other robberies, but was released on parole in 2009. Leslie Lotto, Fox News.
It wasn't Faïd's first rodeo when it comes to prison escapes. He once used explosives hidden in tissue packs to blast his way out of a different prison. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Chili's $10 lunch combos. Experience fresh flavors layered in every bite with our pork carnitas tacos, the Cajun chicken pasta, our quesadilla explosion salad, the California flatbread, and so much more. Each entree comes with a fresh house salad, warm soup, or a cup of tasty chili. Chili's $10 lunch combos. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegli of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
The employees of Morrico Equipment on Guam have something very special all to themselves every morning they go to work, and that is pride. They have pride in the Morrico Equipment logo, and they have pride in wearing the Morrico Equipment uniform. They have pride in driving each Morrico Equipment service truck and in operating the Morrico Equipment lowboy heavy haul tractor. Morrico Equipment employees have pride in their company because they own the company. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. If you would like to join the Morrico Equipment ESOP team, please apply via morricoequipment.com.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway, make it what you want.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. In June of last year, Revenue Taxes Collections Division filed notice of 2 liens against Mid-Pacific distributors for unpaid taxes totaling $14.7 million. The tax in question, the gross receipts tax. The assessed amounts include interest and penalty according to the lien notices, which state demand for payment of this liability has been made, but it remains unpaid. Mid-Pacific Distributing is a wholesale distributor of alcohol and tobacco products. It's one of the companies owned by Calvo Enterprises. The $14.7 million in unpaid taxes owed at that time by MidPac covered a period between April 2014 through March of last year. It's not clear whether these taxes have been paid in full yet, why they weren't paid before, or what these unpaid taxes were assessed on. MidPac President John T. Calvo declined to respond to those questions when contacted by the Guam Daily Post. Instead, in an email, Calvo stated that MidPac is a long-standing privately owned local company which pays a substantial amount of Guam taxes and is meeting all of its tax obligations to the government of Guam. Guam lawmakers head back into session this morning. Topping the agenda is Senator Michael San Nicolas's bill to repeal the 2% sales tax. Appropriations Committee Chair Senator Joe San Augustine said it's been revised to keep the 5% business privilege tax in place to make up for the loss of the sales tax. The BBT was supposed to drop back down to 4% on October 1st. However, San Augustine and other senators want it left at 5% in order to preserve some funding for Guam Memorial Hospital and Guam DOE if the sales tax is revoked. The revocation of the sales tax called for in Bill 262 is expected to pass this week after 3 senators who originally voted for it announced that they had changed their minds and would vote to repeal it following an audit critical of Rev and Tax's collection efforts. We'll have more news after this.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Always here to help you. This island is our home. Through the years, we've been a friend to the neighbors we have known. Now we're banking on the future. No services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Guam Memorial Hospital has until July 25th to achieve substantial compliance at its skilled nursing home facility in Barrigada Heights, much earlier than the October deadline the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services set for the hospital itself. The Guam Daily Post has obtained a copy of a CMS letter to Hospital Administrator Peter John Camacho dated May 11th. It outlines their concerns about deficiencies at the skilled nursing unit. In that letter, CMS threatens to deny payments for new admissions unless substantial compliance is achieved. Failing that, unless the deficiencies are corrected by October 25th, CMS will terminate the skilled nursing unit's provider agreement. A 37-year-old cargo screener has admitted to stealing more than $16,000 worth of goods from inbound flights carrying mail intended for delivery here on Guam. According to a plea agreement unsealed Friday in district court, Thomas Joaquin Santos Atoigui pleaded guilty to mail theft. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. Atoigui was a cargo screener for the Unlimited Services Group at the United Air Cargo Facility for about a year. During that time, he admitted to stealing $16,000 worth of goods, including TV sets, computers, and watches. That, according to court documents. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray's back with weather.
I don't remember how any of this works.
Just had to learn it all over again.
That stuff says Bob Klitsky here. You know, I thought I'd got in early enough so I could rechange all the titles. And then you know what happens is Windows decides now would be a good time to update itself for 45 minutes or something like that. So I've been watching Spinning Wheels all morning. That's what's in my weather forecast. Partly sunny today with isolated showers and thunderstorms. Winds out of the east up to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Daytime highs 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 78 degrees. Sun's only been up for about 20 minutes. I haven't had a chance to run outside. Are we in VOG conditions again?
Not as bad as it was, say, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday was crazy. It just kind of moved in and it just out of nowhere.
It's that weird kind of overcast feeling. Even though it's not overcast, it just got this it felt like it was going to rain all day long, which messed with my head. Weak tropical disturbance 91W Invest will pass south of Guam in the middle of the week, bringing an increased chance for showers. Until then, look for isolated showers today and tomorrow. Sunset tonight, 6:52. Sunrise tomorrow morning, about 5:57. 6:13 studio time. News and weather together brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital x-rays, and 4D ultrasounds. FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825. 5 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
I thank you for saying so. Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at King's Restaurant. This didn't change, right? I mean, they've same program, same meals all the way through, even though Bob Klitsky was here, right?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I hear that. Salisbury steak today. That's the big serving lunch special today, Monday through Friday. Something different. Like I said, Salisbury steak today. Tomorrow, beefsteak tomorrow. Wednesday, pork sinigang. Thursdays, meatloaf. And Friday, special beef tinaktak. Try the pick 2 or pick 3 combos. It's lunch waiting for you today at King's.
We get it. Gas and utility rates keep rising with no end in sight. But with Double Play from GTA, you can get an extra sweet summer deal that'll save you extra cash. Sign up today and get 50 megabits per second with fiber home internet, unlimited talk and text, plus 25 gigabytes of wireless data. And new customers get the first month free with no contract. Save over $500 in the first year and get extra this summer with Double Play from GTA. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for more details.
Good plan. 6:14 in the morning. Portions of the program also brought to you by my friends at Security Title, providing solutions for your most complex real estate transactions.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Today's Monday, huh? How'd we do that? Got it all the way? Yay, it's Monday. Come on, everybody. Another week. Get in. Wake up. Go to work. Brush your teeth.
Get up. It's Jesus Day.
That was actually yesterday. Hope everybody had a good week. I hope you had a good time with Bob Klitsky the last 4 days of the week. Last week, how'd it go for you?
Very entertaining.
Yes. Well, you know, he cheated. That was cheating, right? So I mean, the guy comes, he's doing the morning thing, but he's also in the news every day, right?
That was a little bit confusing at times.
So which Bob Klitsky?
Well, it was great to have the source on hand right next to you, though.
Sure. What just one of those things. What's it going to be today? I'm not actually in any actual news stories that I'm aware of today. Although I will say thanks very much to Chloe Babauta for showing up. She's a new one at. Did you notice people work at PDN? They all Babautas one way or the other. They all got a string back up and down the family line. But she came by yesterday and did a nice piece in today's Pacific Daily News in tribute to my old man and the memorial that we had yesterday. That was really, really nice, and I appreciate you coming down and getting the spelling on most of the names right. That's a way to do that. 6:17 in the morning, and some of the other things over the weekend. I don't know and let me I'll start with the trip report. Can I do that? Would that be all right?
Absolutely.
Because some people don't like it when I do trip report because they just get jealous.
Let me get it there.
So let me start with the part that stunk. The suck parts of the trip. And that is, we need to have more airplanes flying at convenient times in and around the Pacific region. So I get to trying to get down to Singapore, and that can be, depending on which airline you're taking. Sometimes it can be an arduous process, and then sometimes it just sucks. And for me, I got to the terminal number 2. In Manila, where I was for five
Days?
hours.
Oh, hours.
You know what there is to do in the Manila airport for 5 hours?
Not much.
Well, after the internet, because the internet's only good for like a half hour, 45 minutes or something. You know, it's one of those metered things. So, hey,
you can only eat so many noodles.
Exactly. Well, they got a nice hot dog stand there. They got a great hot dog stand. So I was fortunate, though. I was able to get into the Mabuhay Lounge, which was terrific. And about 4.5 hours into that, I got up and went to the front and said, "Okay, I'm going to go now because my plane." And the lady said, "You're going to Singapore?" And I said, "Yes, thank you for asking." And she said, "Well, I'm just here to tell you, your plane's not leaving it's not here yet. Your plane's so okay. So I'm there, and so I was timing my beers for a 5-hour layover. And as my friend Michael Knight says, well, I have to start over from 1. And so that was, and then it was, the flight to, and then the rest of it was terrific. And then I get on the plane, and I had 2 red eyes in a row from Singapore to Manila. Was a red eye from, I don't know, 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I was then a day trip in Manila, which was awesome. And then I got, we all have friends one way or the other at Resort World. And so I'd asked them, I said, listen, how are you fixed for rooms? 'Cause you think you might be able to do me a day pass at Resort World? I'll be happy to pay for it. Right. And they said, absolutely. And so I got there 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was panicking because I thought they're not going to let me in until like 2 or something like that. Yeah. But they had worked it out. So I got to Resort World, the Belmont, which I love staying at, and the lady at the counter says, your room is waiting for you, Mr. Gibson. I whipped out the credit card, said, here you go, and let me go ahead and pay for this. She said, no. This is complimentary from Resort World Manila management and staff. So when they come here, they're going to have some drive time interview. I'm going to just tell you that right now, because it was sweet accommodations. You want breakfast, Mr. Gibson? How about we send? Would you like a massage? You got another red eye tomorrow. Would you like a massage and get relaxed? And I said, no, actually, I think I'm going to spend a lot of time. The Belmont is cool, and one of the reasons why I like the Belmont is because they have a rooftop swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
rooftop, and it's not an infinity thing or anything like that, but it's just a rooftop swimming pool, and there's a couple of kuyas over there that will give you beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. Always in international waters. It's all right. And so nice people out there. And so I recommend short trips, long trips, whatever. If you get a chance, that's where to go. And they've got great entertainment. They didn't have anybody playing while I was there, but coming soon, I want to say August or so. Which one is still alive, England Dan or John Ford Coley?
John Ford Coley.
He's the living one.
Yeah.
He was here last year.
He was here, yeah.
And so he'll be at Resort World.
Nice.
Performing there. And just go and look him up on the World Wide Web, and you'll find out when he's going to be performing out there, in addition to all the other great things that they do there. My favorite thing about they've got that mall.
Oh, yeah. Well, many malls, yeah.
So, there's malls everywhere.
One
pretty
particular
much.
mall.
The one there at Resorts World, and so you're walking through there, and they have all these pretty girls, and they're hello, ma'am, sir, ma'am, sir.
Yeah.
And I turn around because I do that, right? And I said yes, and they all want to give me a little sachet of something for my face.
Oh, okay.
Just a little cream.
How many condos did you buy?
I didn't actually buy any condos. Didn't do any gambling this trip, but I did get a whole bunch of these little sachets and exfoliants for my face and skin. It's smooth as a baby's bottom, this part, because that's and she wanted to give me enough. She wanted to give me the whole package, and naturally I'm like no. And what I found is you're gonna run into this one of these days because it's not just at the malls in the Philippines. So what you do is you take the sachet, and when they start talking to you about how great the product is, and say no, I had this on my toast the other morning, and it's just terrific. Could I get a couple more? And
better than Vegemite.
Then they'll call security, and then you don't have to worry about anything anymore. It's 6:22 in the morning, so I appreciate that. And then, of course, the red eye between Manila and Guam, which we need to have more flights where there's the words red eye aren't involved. I'm just, or as my brother says, because my brother just laughs at me. He says, you know what? This is what happens when you book your own reservations.
Yes.
You suck at it. So if you should find a travel agent, there might still be some in the business, but that's the long and short of it. Or maybe you can help me with it one of these days. 888-8255 is the phone number. I want to say thanks very much for Michael Knight for helping out for the last couple of days. We had somebody that was our first experiment in having somebody sub for the usual morning show host. And from all accounts, that went all right. We didn't lose the license. We have the majority of the advertisers that we started with are still with us, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we only said, I think, like 3 curse words the whole 3-4 days.
Not bad. Were the ones that the FCC wants you to bleep out, or just...
They kind of want it. But.
Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. It was all right with you?
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Sure.
I'm glad to hear that. What did I miss? Well, just could you recap? Do you have a couple of minutes here? It's 7 minutes before headlines. We just
wait for the headlines.
But the headlines are like
Read the
today's
newspaper.
stuff. I've read all. The only ones I didn't get my hands on are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week.
Every day you were gone.
Yeah, pretty much. So I guess the big deals were: can BJ Cruz run for the public auditor?
Yes,
Could
he
Yuka
can.
Hetchenova run for public
yes,
auditor?
they can. They decided that on Saturday.
And so the long and short is now what was the deal with BJ? Did just common sense come to him and say, well, if you're already an elected official, that means you can't ever run for another elected office, including the one you're sitting on.
Something like that.
So got to close that loophole one way or the other. Now with Yuka, what was the deal that allowed her to run? Do you know?
Apparently she didn't file by the deadline, but there was some confusion, so now they've allowed.
She
her
didn't
to run.
file by the deadline because everybody thought that she was going to be in the same situation Dave Cruz was in.
Yeah, but she wasn't.
She was not.
So apparently not.
By virtue of?
You'll have to read the
Guam
newspaper.
Election Commission fairy dust on that. We sprinkled fairy dust, and now Yuka can run. I actually saw Yuka yesterday, and I tell you what, she's ready for the fight, and she knows this is going to be a tough one
fight
because you're up against BJ Cruz, who has had his name in the public arena for something like 45 years since he's been working with Governor Ricky Burdell. He was probably in the youth congress and all of this stuff. So he's been out there, and Yuka, for all intents and purposes, is just a CPA. She's just an accountant lady and an auditor lady. She works with Doris. Not a whole lot by way of a
It's going to
political
be
background.
interesting if BJ wins. He's going to have to resign within 10 days after the August 25th election, leaving 14 senators.
Yes.
Until next year.
The nuns had a word for that when I was. They had a phrase for that.
Yeah.
It's like occasions for sin. Is what that is. There's no good that can come of this with him not being over. You remember the last time we went through this long period of time where BJ wasn't around, and then we got stuck with 5% business privilege tax. It didn't seem like anybody was watching what was happening over at the legislature with all of these amendments that were flying in back and forth, and all of a sudden we've got this thing. And okay, I made a prediction, and this one looks like it's going to come true. Did I not say? Did I not say many times before Bob Klitsky took over the program, did I not say that what was going to happen was that they were going to lose the wind in their sails over at the legislature, and we're going to start talking about keeping the business privilege tax at 5% and jettisoning the visible sales tax? I did say that was going to happen,
did
right?
Indeed.
And so what's the measure that's going to be going on the session agenda?
It looks pretty much like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. You know why? Because they saw how much extra revenue was coming in with this additional. That's right. Yeah. Do that for, what is it, 6 million times a month?
Yeah, but it's not enough. That was the word on Thursday.
It's never
last
enough.
Thursday from the fiscal team.
It's never enough.
So let me tell
The
you.
projected deficit next year is
$160 million.
A minimum of 120, possibly as high
as 160 million. Right. So you know what I would start doing right now? I would start trying to save some more money. I don't know. It's they got $30 million in so-called savings that the fiscal response team has been talking about, on top of additional revenue that's coming in from the tax amnesty. But as has been pointed out numerous times, that ain't going to keep for a long, long time.
Are they physically capable of saving money? Because I haven't seen evidence of it since I've been here.
We did all that hiring over at the governor's office. We have special assistants over at the governor's office. Megan, what did I say it was? What was the high end on that? $65,000?
By the way, I have a job
$67,000?
announcement to mention later.
There's actually a couple of job announcements that I might go over in a little bit. A couple of $1 million in tax refunds out today, if I understand the headlines that I took a look at. That's good. So about $61 million total, taking us to what, February the 7th, February the 8th? What do you think, Kev? Do you have a date on that for where we are on the tax refunds?
February 8th.
We are at February the 8th. Okay, so folks that did your filing then and about at that time, then that's good news. Good news for you, and go and get that money and then go spend it. Although I think that's one of the things that they have to factor in. I don't know that they have yet, but I think it's one of the things that the guys have got to factor in with the increase in the business privilege tax and the amount of additional revenue that the government of Guam is making. My spidey sense tells me that some of that might be coming in from the additional tax refunds that are out there. It's not so much that there is so much additional dollars floating around. There are, but it's coming from tax refunds. So at some point, we're going to be done paying tax refunds, and I wonder what's going to happen to that additional BPT. My spidey sense tells me that might be coming down. I don't know. We'll see if we can talk with some of the experts out there. An interesting story on the front page of today's Guam Daily Post. MidPAC has been assessed $14.7 million in unpaid taxes. Kevin Kerrigan story on this.
Last year.
Yeah. So did they pay?
Well, that's a good question, but it wasn't answered.
What did John say? John T. Calvo, MidPAC president, replied in an email, MidPAC is a longstanding, privately owned local company which pays a substantial amount of Guam taxes and is meeting... Hold on. I'm going to go for the rest of it. All of its tax obligations to the government of Guam. Calvo did not respond to the following questions posed by the Daily Post. Have these back taxes been paid in full yet? Why weren't they paid previously? And what products were these unpaid taxes assessed on? My guess is beer and wines, and maybe even some cigarettes. Maybe. In all of that. Anyway, so that's going to that's going to get some tongues wagging today. Did you see that? Because one guy's name is John Calvo, and he is the cousin of the governor Eddie Calvo. Can you imagine? Let me go think about, if you will, think about how this would read if this was Carl Gutierrez as the governor, and one of the companies was his crony companies. The crucifixion would have already begun.
Sadly, I'm tempted to think that no one will be surprised by that story.
Well, we'll see. 888-8255, by the way, is the telephone number. That's 888-TALK, 888-8255. Something you want to yak about, just hit me on that. I'm trying to take a look at, and like I said, I had to reset some systems here, so I can't see at this point what's happening on the Facebook page and who might be chiming in with their thoughts. I'll get to that in a second and share it with you in little bits. In the meantime, it's 6:30 in the morning, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, Department of Revenue and Taxation Director John Camacho estimates that the total amount of unpaid taxes collected during this year's tax amnesty could eventually reach $25 million if the delinquent taxpayers who applied for it pay the full amount of what they owe by the August 6th deadline. The amnesty application period lasted 6 weeks. It began May 7th and ended at the close of business last Tuesday after being extended twice. Preliminary numbers show that about 2,000 delinquent taxpayers submitted applications. They admitted to owing about $23 million in back taxes. However, that could rise as the final numbers come in, said Camacho. So far, the actual amount collected is about $11.5 million. The balance owed is still $11.6 million. That must be paid by August 6. Senator Mary Torres plans on reviving a bill she considered introducing last year that would allow for a safe haven home where a parent could leave a child that they were unable to care for. The bill is being introduced following the recent case of a woman in Dededo who abandoned her baby boy at the doorstep of a neighbor. 32-year-old Naomi Omapas charged with child abuse, and she's been released on a $10,000 personal recognizance bond. Torres told the Post that the bill she started working on last year, she hopes to introduce sometime this week. Efforts to introduce the Safe Haven Act have also been spurred by the fact that there's no longer a doctor on Guam who performs legal abortions. Torres said they are still considering several aspects of the law, such as who is allowed to bring an infant to a safe haven location and what locations will be considered safe havens. 531 families will get their tax refunds this week, with another batch of tax refunds going out, just over $2 million this week. The checks were printed on Friday. They'll be mailed out today. This batch pays for most of the error-free returns filed as of February 8th. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
6:33, that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk and mobile plans.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yep, we kicked up our Pika Chicken a notch with Sriracha. It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Yes. I totally amped up and excited about being back here. Can you tell? 6:34 in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by APL. That's short for American President Lines. While I have an opportunity, I want to say happy belated birthday to Charlie Hermosa as the boss of American President Lines. Nice to spend some time with you yesterday at the memorial and at a surprise swimming pool party. Yeah, that was nice. So APL, shipping the future.
More than 40 local companies have partnered with Take Care to bring you some of the best deals across the island through the Take Care Affinity Rewards program. From Spa Bali, Guam Reef and Gabriel's Restaurant to Tango Theaters, Dolce Frutti, and many more. Take Care members can simply present their membership cards at our partner locations to receive a special offer or discount. For a complete listing of Take Care's affinity partners and deals, visit TakeCareAsia.com or check out our Take Care app for all the latest updates.
Traffic is going to be sucked this morning. I just tell you that right now. Good morning from Yoitz Ringil. It says, just an FYI, I saw this on the way in by the traffic light in Tamuning at the intersection at the airport road, right next to the 76, right there. They are doing some looks like a major project that was going on. And so if you, just a warning, if you need to get from Route 10A to Marine Corps Drive and make that, execute that left-hand turn to take you towards Kmart or John F. Kennedy or here at the radio station, just a note, it looked like there were a lot of vehicles working on something that looked pretty major out there. And I don't know if they're going to be done by drive time. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye on that roadway for me. Let me know if there's anything that the other motorists need to know. 888-8255. That's right now traffic here on The Point.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any two toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I think this is going to turn into, again, watch out for the traffic down on the roadways. I see you on the Facebook Live, and we haven't had a chance. Wait a second, I got to get Michael's attention again. Mike, did we do the Cheers thing while Bob was sitting in his chair? Oh, we need to do the Cheers things now. It's that. Well, hey, what? Can we do it?
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows.
Yeah, so retrain me or the producer, not really sure. 888-8255, and a delight to have so many friends that rejoining us on the Facebook Live. Good morning, Juanita. Good to see you there. There's Randy Kruger. Who else is happening? Justin DeFront, Nick Perlowski. Good morning. Denise Legaspi. Lady D says, Mr. St. Nicholas is going to have a hard time running for Congress. Madeline did a nice speech at the Dededo Cockfighting Dome on how she saved cockfighting here on Guam. Well, it's interesting. We'll get caught up on that. Tell me specifically what it was that she said. Pete Guerrero, Natalie Canata, and Rosemary Ogo, Carl Pangolina with a K, pretty Ashley Calvo Rodriguez, and Carl and Jerry Gutierrez have joined. That's interesting, the juxtaposition, because both of those names there are on the same green tab. And considering that they're from rival gubernatorial camps, well, like I said, the positioning of those is very, very interesting. I see Brad Hewitt's on, Jimmy Moylan, Eunice Mendiola, Bert Manansala, Huffa Greg Karabrock. Good to have you at the deal here this morning. Daryl Taggart says, welcome back, Ray. It's good to be home. It's good to be home. I was had the pleasure of a chair in 42K. And if you're not in first class on a Philippine Airlines flight between here and Manila, shoot for 42K, because that's the chair on those Airbuses. That's the chair. It's in the exit row, but it's not in the exit row. It's the one right behind it. So you've got two seats. And then a duffy, for lack of a better word, there's a hole. And that hole is where, if you're sitting in 42K, that's where your legs go. It's a nice thing. 888-8255 is the telephone number. I'm glad that you're able to get a hold of me on the Facebook Live. Email at Ray Gibson at raygibsonshow@gmail.com. And then there's what are the other ways to get a hold of me? You could do the WhatsApp if you got my number. And one of the things I'm working on is trying to make it so that you can WhatsApp from wherever you are into a special WhatsApp account that we'll set up here for the radio station.
Yeah.
And that way, if you've got funny memes or cute videos of Dave Cruz singing or Ray Tenorio singing, come to think of it, then by all means, let those in my direction. A couple of interesting things that are going to be on tap at the legislature. As I said, one of them is going to be a conversation about the business privilege tax, what should have been a wholesale repeal of the increase in the BPT to 5%, and then the conversation about a visible sales tax coming up in the first part of the new fiscal year. That should have been a total repeal, but as I said, it's beginning to look a lot more like, we kind of like that additional dough that's coming in. So I think we're going to keep the business privilege tax at 5%. And then jettison the conversation about the visible sales tax. Beginning to look like it's going to be heading in that direction. Although I've called Tom Atta on something different. Tom, have I framed that accurately based on your understanding? Senator Atta. Oi. Where'd he go? You don't have him? Okay, well, let's see if we can get him back on the line. As I said, that's how that looks like it's framed. There was another bill that's very interesting to me, and I'm in the advertising game. When I'm not talking on the radio about current events and issues that affect all of us, one of the other things that I like to think I'm pretty good at is being able to sell advertising to people, and we do that on the radio, and we do it on RDS messages that you can see on your radio dial. But it's the only way that advertising is done. There's newspapers and there's television, and there are also these video signs that have gone up. And a shroud of controversy over the video signage that has gone up, and I was kind of ticked off about it because I thought the only reason why I never ventured into that as an advertising game for me and the companies that I have been working with is because I thought it was against the law, against the signage laws. But apparently, if you can get the right guys on a commission to see things your way, then you get to have your sign. And if you get things over at the legislature looking the right way, then your business is grandfathered in. And now there's a conversation that Tom Atta is leading over at the legislature, is actual bill form that would provide for legally methods for businesses like mine to be able to invest in those big message signs, right?
That's right.
Hey, good morning. Did you miss me?
Yeah, man. But actually, you had a pretty good sit-in for you with Bob Klutsky. I think he did an excellent job.
So he helped. So having him here helped you cope with my absence.
Yeah, I didn't go into withdrawals as badly.
and it didn't hurt that, from my understanding, just about every day that he was subbing for me, he was also actually in a news story one way or the other, right?
Yeah, and he I think he taught the community a lot about decisions are based on what you knew at the time and when you knew it.
Absolutely. Well, it depends on what your version, I suppose, of the truth is. A pretty interesting editorial from Uncle Robert in the stack of newspapers that I was reading here this morning. We'll maybe touch on a little bit of that. But getting back, let me start where I wanted to start before we got disconnected on the last call. My understanding of this measure now that is going to be in front of the legislatures, it would keep the business privilege tax at 5% and then jettison the 2% visible sales tax down the road. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, the basic objective of the bill as introduced was to repeal the sales tax.
Yes.
But certainly there has been indications that there will also be a motion to repeal the sunset on the 1% increase on the BPT, so that then it'll stay at that 1% increase will stay, so that the business privilege tax will remain at 5%. Will anyone make a motion to increase it by an additional 1%? That remains to be seen.
Whoa, wait, hold time out. Who's talking about that? Where did that come from?
I'm just saying that's a possibility that's out there, because remember, when a bill gets introduced, how it looks when it finally exits the legislature could be quite different.
Oh, I recall how many times have we've seen certain things. I mean, just start with the budget, but how many other measures have we seen that managed to sail through the halls of the legislature unchanged, untainted by amendments?
Sure. So I bring it up just so that everyone needs to stay alert. That's always a possibility.
Well, I'm against it. Can I just register my hesitation and violently on this? I'm the guy that wants it to stay at 4% and then force reorganization in the government of Guam. We've never finished that conversation again.
Sure, and there's good arguments as to why we should keep it at 4%, and there's also arguments as to why we need to increase it. And so what is the right answer? The right answer, unfortunately, in the legislative arena is 8 votes.
Right. No, I understand that. And there are going to be 8 timid people that are going to be looking forward to either holding on to what they've got or trying to get ahead. And they will be able to say in any campaign message, I voted down a tax increase to the tune of 1% or 2%. If we don't do the visible sales tax, they'll be able to campaign on that. But the fact of the matter is the taxpayers, the people that these days have a hard time affording it, are going to be stuck with an increase in the BPT. I was just looking at some numbers that Tom Paris puts out over at the Department of Labor, and it is the amount of money, 7.7% increase in the cost of just general goods for people here on Guam. That was before the tax increase took effect.
Yes, I mean,
what's that number going to be after all of the figures come in for the second quarter of 2018?
Right. Well. So I guess we can speculate as much as we want now, but tune in at 9 a.m. and we'll see how things unfold.
Well, that's an absolutely spooky thought here. I just wanted to get in on the conversation about how we're going to get stuck with a 5% BPT if it moves the way it looks like it's moving. And then you said, well, there might be a conversation from somebody, another amendment that flies through that would increase the business privilege tax by another 25% and make it 6%.
Yeah. So that's what that's always.
Can you WhatsApp me and tell me whose brilliant idea that was? Who floated that? Which one of your 14 colleagues has floated that one?
Well, there's been discussion that. Well, now I guess from the latest SES committee meeting, the Special Economic Service Committee. They've pretty much verified that the projected shortfall in revenues will be about $120 million. And so we either take a look for $60 million in reductions in the government budget, because keeping the 1% will only generate, I believe, about the $60 million that's needed. So, but why I was actually heading out the door so that I can go and get ready for the session.
It's going to be an exciting morning for you, kids. All right, so here it is. Tom had it, telegraphing, not his idea, but telegraphing the notion that there might be somebody over at the legislature who will offer an amendment to keep the taxation limited to the business privilege tax, but adding another 1% to it. So instead of going back to 4%, we could actually see an increase to 6%.
That's right. So the way this thing is going to unfold this morning is I'm pretty sure that the legislature will probably go into the committee of the whole and bring in BBMR and rev and tax and all that and say, okay, tell us the numbers, and then the administration is going to push for its tax increase and the arguments are going to be made as to why we need to keep the 1% increase and possibly increase it, and all those discussions will take place. And then at the end, we'll rise and we'll take a vote on the bill.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to it. My spidey sense is tingling again, and I got a feeling that no good can come of this. What do you think, Kevin? What are you looking at?
Well, just for the record, at that SES meeting about a week ago last Friday, it was Speaker B.J. Cruz who said, either the sales tax stays in, or I know as anathema as it sounds, the business privilege tax goes up to 6%.
What happened to the conversation about reorganization? How many times have we had that? We just did it back in February, right, Senator?
Well, hindsight's got 20/20 vision. So had we done it back then, the fact of the matter is we did not. So we got to look forward and see how we're going to be able to get over the next, over what's coming over the horizon here.
Well, I think it's going to be an incredible day for talk radio. I got that feeling that based on what you're talking about and maybe conversations that will take place above and beyond and behind the scenes, I think it's going to be make for certainly some interesting conversation tomorrow. It's already made for interesting conversation in my head today. Thank you, Senator. Now, the other measure that I wanted to bring up, because I don't think this is going to get chewed on today, is you've got a measure. We talked a little bit about this a few months ago. That would provide for size and locations for additional video walls.
That's right. So the current, and they're called off-premise signs. Those are signs that you would see, like, for example, the sign, the digital billboard that you see right across from ITC there.
Yeah.
So those are called off-premise signs because what it advertises are for services that are located elsewhere, right? And so in the past, the several that we have in existence right now, the one down by the Docomo building, the one across from ITC, the static billboard that's up by Nissan, those had to go through the Guam Land Use Commission to get a variance. And because they
notwithstanding the fact that they weren't that there was no authority provided the Land Use Commission to give that variance.
That's right. So the Land Use Commission, kind of stepped back and so we introduced the bill. So the bill, which is Bill 154, does two things. One, it authorizes the erection of these digital signboards. Secondly, it regulates the size of the signboards, the intervals between signboards, but it doesn't regulate content. So, for example, the interval between signs that the bill allows for is 3,500 feet. So, if you can just picture in your mind, there's that one digital billboard that's in front of the Docomo building, and there's the one across from ITC. That's about 3,500 feet. So if the bill passes as written, you will not see another billboard in between, those two signs that are currently existing. If your company, which is located across, I think, from GTA, would not be able to set up a sign, I think that because that location sits within 3,500 feet from the from the static billboard that's up by Nissan. So
From one or the
so
other.
it does that, and we don't want to basically have a jungle of digital billboards out there.
The original concern that I had was that that there are already some pretty good locations that are out there that have been grandfathered in one way or the other, either through the legislation or provided for by like I said, the Land Use Commission and their so-called variances on this. So now, if I'm a guy in business and I want to erect one of those signs myself, now there are some primo locations that I can't get access to because they lie within those 3,500 feet delimiters, right?
That's right. However, you don't have. This is not a silver bullet that would address all situations. So the bill does provide for those situations where circumstances may be that, hey, putting it in within 3,000 feet from the next sign can be justified. So then the bill does provide the option that in those cases you go to the Guam Land Use Commission to seek a variance.
Now, does the legislation provide them the authority to issue a variance then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it specifically says that that's where you would go to seek a variance.
All right. I'm just curious because down the road, you never know. You got the radio business, and people are always talking to me about maybe doing something on television. And I'm thinking those video signs look pretty sexy out there. I like the technology, and I think there's some cool things that we might be able to do with them to the degree now that it looks like there's a venue for them to become somewhat legal. Senator, I got to let you run. You got a busy day ahead of yourself, so do me a favor. Just say no. On the increase in any of the taxes. I want to go back to 4%, and as I say, force the government of Guam to live under the same austere conditions that many of their taxpayers find themselves. We don't have an opportunity to, in many cases, to just increase our revenues at the House and in our businesses at will. And if we can't do that, and we have to live within our means, I think the government of Guam does as well.
Understand, and I will keep an open mind and keep both ears open.
You're a good man. Good man. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Okay.
6:55 in the morning. There was a joke in there about Tom had his ears. Did you notice I did not go for it? I could have. You remember when he was running with Lilian Guerrero, the slogan, Eyes and Ears of Guam? No. It's true. It's true. I tell you, 6:55 in the morning, and straight up into that issue. Well, boy, that got me up. I thought the coffee was doing a good job. I thought we were right there on this, but there is the possibility that not only are we going to get stuck paying 5% worth of the business privilege tax, but there is also the possibility that they could raise that another percent, take it all the way to 6% in the BPT. And you got people like Lady D says they're going to have to figure this out. The only thing left. The only people left will be the haves. I wonder how much they will have if there's nobody left then to buy all of their goods. She talks about a massive exodus leaving Island already because of the taxes. I know a few people that I've had to say goodbye for, and it wasn't necessarily because there were things were getting out of hand for them here and things were getting more and more expensive for them here. It's just that there were other opportunities elsewhere. I've been talking to this girl, and she wants to come back home. She lives in the States, got a couple of girls, and she wants to come home. And I said, so when are you planning on this? Because it sounded imminent. And she said, well, there's a couple of things. One of them is I need to wait until my daughter graduates from high school. And I said, why? And she says, because the schools on Guam suck. And I said, okay, I got it. But the other thing is that there are just so many more opportunities that she has got to be able to do better for herself before she starts contemplating seriously coming back to Guam. And I think the idea that things are going to get a little bit more expensive, it's already expensive here. And the idea that things are going to be going up kind of tricky. Carl Pangilinan, that's Carl with a K, reminds me, careful how you use wholesale when referring to BPT. Just saying. No, I hear you. I hear you. And there may yet be that conversation. And I remember when I first got into talk radio, Senator Frank Gutierrez used to call me all the time and talk about the third revenue leg in the government. You know, we got this kind of taxes, we got that kind of taxes, and he was always nuts about throwing in for the wholesale guys to pay their taxes, to pay taxes on top of that. And I said, well, wouldn't that make it so that they would pay 4% and that they would take that out of the people that sell it? Right? The wholesalers would take their 4% out of the sale to the retailers. And then the retailers would take their 4% from me. So essentially, I'm paying 4% on the 4% that was charged to these guys. And I thought, well, that feels kind of regressive. I'm not crazy about that idea. But crazier conversations have been taking place. You got to imagine that there is almost, I'm beginning to almost feel a desperation among some people in the government to maintain the status quo at all costs. And when they say all costs, they mean at all of our costs. It's like World War II. Yes, we'll fight to the last Russian in order to, that's what Eisenhower said, we will fight to the last Russian man in order to win this war. And I think that's what's going to happen. At all costs, they are going to maintain the status quo in the government of Guam. And I got a feeling, kids, that it's going to cost us a little bit more. As he said, 9 o'clock this morning, they ought to gavel in over at the legislature and expect them to go into the committee on the whole and bring in the fiscal response team. It's going to happen, and they're going to trot out the same lines here, and they're going to start. It'll be fiscal crisis all over again, and somebody has got to ask them. And I hope Joe S. does it. Joe St. Augustine needs to be in there and stand up for the taxpayers. I want to say that there's reference to this in one of the stories in the Guam Daily Post, where he says, well, you probably should have thought of that before you started hiring people over at Adelup. But now you want us to be the bearers of bad news over at the legislature and start talking about a hard time. BJ uses the word anathema. I like that word. I dated a girl named Anathema once. It's 6:59 and change. The radio station that you're listening to is KUSG. Got you headlines coming up and big news from the Guam Daily Post. Wanted to see if we could see some backups coming out of Route 10A onto Marine Corps Drive. Don't see it happening right there, but it does look like there's a little bit of a slowdown headed into Epal Road. More on that in a second. Right now, it's time for the news from the Fox guys.
President Trump saying he won't ask potential Supreme Court nominees about their position on overturning the Roe v. Wade abortion ruling.
They're all saying, don't do that, you don't do that, you shouldn't do that, but I'm putting conservative people on.
The president on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. Many Democrats and some Republicans worry how a conservative majority could impact a woman's right to choose.
I told him that I was looking for a nominee that would demonstrate a respect for precedent, a long-standing and vital tenet of our judicial system. I also suggested that he broaden his search.
Senate Republican Susan Collins of Maine on ABC's This Week. The president plans to announce his nominee on July 9th. Trump administration officials telling AP the zero-tolerance policy for illegal immigrants caught the border and at the border sowed confusion and anger. They also say there was a lack of coordination among the agencies involved. Finding ways to beat the heat.
It's hot outside. It's real hot. In the house. And I got an AC, but it's still hot.
I did put tanning on before I got down here because I knew I'd take my shirt off, so I was planning ahead, and I knew it'd be hot out here on the festival grounds, and it's been amazing ever since I took my shirt off. So it's been great.
I did not. I'm planning on getting burned today.
With nearly triple-digit temperatures in the eastern U.S.
The best thing really to do is to drink plenty of fluids, stay hydrated, try not to drink alcohol or caffeine, wear loose clothing, avoid dark colors, and the best thing also is to make sure you check up on your elderly neighbors and also young people and folks who don't have an air conditioning.
Fox's Brian Yennis. It all came down to penalty kicks in today's World Cup action. Croatia eliminating Denmark a short time ago, and Russia pulled off an epic upset earlier, ousting Spain. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Always here to help you. This island is our home. Through the years, we've been a friend to the neighbors we have known. Now we're banking on the future. Services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
It's decision day in Mexico as voters head to the polls to pick a new president. Populist candidate Andres Manuel López Obrador is the frontrunner.
They're expecting a 90% turnout, but they've even run out of ballots at some locations. About the only thing that candidates do agree on is a resentment of President Trump, given what he said about Mexico. But anger in this election is really directed at Mexico's ruling elite, who most voters blame for inequality, poverty, corruption, violence, an economic model which has failed a country which is rich in labor and natural resources.
Fox's William Lajeunesse in Mexico City. An out-of-control wildfire in Northern California forcing people from their homes, though the number of evacuees is unclear. The fire in Yolo County burning at least 34 square miles since it broke out yesterday. A friendly safety reminder for the 4th of July.
Fireworks safety needs to be taken seriously. That's the message from the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Last year, 8 people died in the U.S. from fireworks-related incidents. Dr. Ann Burkle is the acting chair of the CPSC and has a warning regarding illegal fireworks.
Don't make them, don't purchase them, and don't go near them.
She says while sparklers are pretty to look at,
the most often cause of any injuries that we see fireworks related.
They can burn at up to 2,000 degrees, and she reminds parents to keep sparklers out of the hands of kids. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Dinosaurs do it again at the box office.
How many can you save?
11 species. Blue is the last of her kind.
You'll never capture her.
We thought you might know someone who could help.
A rescue op? What could go wrong?
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom keeps the top spot, hauling in an estimated $60 million. Incredibles 2 in second at $46 million. Sicario Day of the Soldado finishing third with $19.5 million. The basketball comedy Uncle Drew and Ocean's 8 rounding out the top 5. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dedito 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, Turkey, Bacon, and Guac, Rotisserie-style Chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
The employees of Morrico Equipment on Guam have something very special all to themselves every morning they go to work, and that is pride. They have pride in the Morrico Equipment logo, and they have pride in wearing the Morrico Equipment uniform. They have pride in driving each Morrico Equipment service truck and in operating the Morrico Equipment lowboy heavy haul tractor. Morrico Equipment employees have pride in their company because they own the company. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. If you would like to join the Morrico Equipment ESOP team, please apply via morricoequipment.com.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers heading back into session this morning at 9 a.m. Topping the agenda, Senator Michael San Nicolas's bill to repeal the 2% sales tax. Appropriations Committee Chair Senator Joe San Augustine says it's been revised to keep the 5% business privilege tax in place to make up for the loss of the sales tax. The BBT was supposed to drop back down to 4% on October 1st. However, San Augustine and some other senators want it left at 5% at a minimum in order to preserve some funding for Guam Memorial Hospital and Guam DOE if the sales tax is indeed revoked. However, members of the governor's fiscal team last week warned that that won't be enough to cover all the needs of GMH, DOE, and the projected $120 million shortfall in the 2019 fiscal year budget. Senator Tom Atta on The Point this morning telling host Ray Gibson that an amendment to raise the BBT up to 6% may be introduced. Revenue Taxes Collections Division filed notice last June of 2 liens against Mid-Pacific Distributing for unpaid taxes totaling $14.7 million. The tax in question, the gross receipts tax. The assessed amounts include interest and penalty according to the lien notices, which state demand for payment of this liability has been made, but it remains unpaid. Mid-Pacific Distributing is a wholesale distributor of alcohol and tobacco products. It's one of the companies owned by Calvo Enterprises. The $14.7 million in unpaid taxes owed at that time, last June, covered a period between April 2014 through March of last year. It's not clear whether these taxes have now been paid in full, why they weren't paid in the first place, or what these unpaid taxes were assessed on. MidPAC President John T. Calvo declined to respond to those questions when contacted by the Guam Daily Post. Instead, in an email, Calvo stated that MidPAC is a long-standing, privately owned local company which pays a substantial amount of Guam taxes and is meeting all of its tax obligations to the government of Guam. We'll have more news after this.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegli of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions. Lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network, we humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The U.S. Virgin Islands and 2 constitutional law scholars have filed briefs in support of a voting rights case filed by Guam resident Luis Segovia, a member of the Guam Army National Guard. His case has now reached the U.S. Supreme Court. The case could decide whether 4 million Americans living in U.S. territories can vote in presidential elections. Segovia, who previously lived in Illinois and served in that state's National Guard, has served 2 deployments in Afghanistan and provided security during the 2005 Iraqi elections. The brief filed by the Virgin Islands says the lower court's decision perpetrates the second-class treatment of U.S. citizens who reside in the territories that is incompatible with the U.S. Constitution. Department of Revenue Tax Director John Camacho estimates that the total amount of unpaid taxes collected during this year's tax amnesty could eventually reach $25 million if the delinquent taxpayers who applied for it pay the full amount of what they owe by the August 6th deadline. The amnesty application period lasted 6 weeks. It began May 7th, ended at the close of business last Tuesday after being extended twice. The preliminary numbers show that about 2,000 delinquent taxpayers submitted applications. They admitted to owing $23 million in back taxes, but that could rise, says Camacho, because the final numbers are still being tabulated. So far, the actual amount collected is about $11.5 million. The balance owed still $11.6 million, and all of that must be paid by August 6th. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
7:12 in the morning, and let me look at the weather. Well, I had it here a minute ago. I probably got it right in front of me, and it's going to bite me. I was right. Partly sunny skies and isolated showers and thunderstorms. Winds out of the east, 10 to 20 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Expected highs today, 89 degrees. Another hot one, lows around 78 degrees. Did you hear them complaining on the Fox News about, it's so hot in the city?
Yeah, it's going to get to 90 degrees. Oh, my gosh.
The humanity.
We're going to melt.
You check the old lady that lives next door with all the cats.
Yeah.
She's going to die in the heat. Yeah, 89 degrees today. It was 89 degrees yesterday. It'll be 90 degrees tomorrow. Overnight lows tonight of about 78 degrees. Suck it up, Buttercup. Sunset tonight at 6:52. Sunrise tomorrow morning about 5:57 or so. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital X-rays, and 4D ultrasounds. FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
Sorry, I'm going to turn the microphone. I'm sorry. I was just looking at the traffic maps again this morning, and Yoichi reminded me that it looks like there's some construction on Route 10A just before you get to Marine Corps Drive, just before you get to the 76 station out there. You're going to find a line of traffic. It was there at 4 o'clock this morning when I started making my way into the office. Might still be causing a problem for motorists through there. So the reminder is, if you don't need to be on Route 10A trying to get to Marine Corps Drive, I would take another route. Unfortunately, the other routes are going to be coming in from Route 8 on the Agana side, or Route 16 a little bit closer to the mall. So build in some extra time this morning before you leave the house. 7:14. I was going to tell you about eating over at King's Restaurant. You're going to get stuck in traffic and waste time. Don't waste any more time thinking about where you're going to be eating lunch today. It's Salisbury steak. That's the big deal for lunch today at King's.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Speaking of smart guys, check out the smart folks over at FHB. That's First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yup, we kicked up our Pika chicken a notch with Sriracha. It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters.
Election now. We can save $150,000. We don't need to have the election now, right? Because the Guam Daily Post had a survey, wanted to know who among the Democratic gubernatorial candidates would you vote for. At 9%, Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Coming in third, Senator Frank Uggan Jr. In second place, it's former Senator and banker Lou Leon Guerrero and former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez in first place with 37% of the votes that were cast on the poll that took place. I believe this is the Daily Post here. 6,845 individual souls. No bankers. And obviously this is the Democrat thing, so we didn't need any of the nose pickers at Adelup to be clicking on the button all weekend long. So 37% say former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez is going to be leading the charge for the Democratic gubernatorial candidates, and he will take on the fight against Ray Tenorio and Tonata in the general election whenever we get around to doing that. So like I said, I don't think we need to have the primary now. Could just sail right into the general. What do you say?
I agree.
We
Let's
save all kinds
just
of
let's
money.
just do straw
Flip a
poll.
coin. Drafts. We'll do it. We'll do it like they did back in Vietnam, back in the 60s. Everybody gets drafted, and you have to serve for 2 years, and after 2 years, you never have to go to the legislature again.
I'm not eligible. I'm an only child.
At 7. This flat-footed only child. I got you. 7:17 in the morning, and is it time for me to take a look at what happened in the markets? Yeah. Standby one. Let's see, where did everything end up when I got? Let me get to the numbers on the markets here in just a second. This is the part that distracted me while I was supposed to be looking up market numbers. U.S. crude prices are up 1%. West Texas crude is now above $74 a barrel. First time we've seen it up that high since 2014, late 2014. Why? Sanctions on Iranian oil are looming. According to Reuters, oil prices up on Friday as U.S. sanctions against Iran threatened to remove a substantial volume of crude from world markets at a time of rising global demand. It was already pretty high at around $68 when I looked at this last Monday. It was $68 for a barrel of West Texas, and that was pretty pricey. We like it to be about 63, 64. If it gets to be much higher, if it gets to be about $77, watch the guys over at the Power Authority and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. They no problem picking up those numbers and saying to the Public Utilities Commission that they are going to have to recover that one way or the other, and that means LEAC increase for you and I. I'm not saying it's happening today. I'm just saying it looks like it's moving in that direction. We'll see what happens on the numbers tomorrow. Thank goodness we're not buying Brent crude. That's up at $79.44 for Brent crude that generally they use out in England and in Europe. $79.15 is where Tapas is. And again, for reference, the last time I gave you the Tapas numbers, they were at $75.05, and I thought that was pretty high. Thought that was pretty high then. So now $79, just under $80 for a barrel of Tapas. I can almost make this prediction fairly clearly and fairly easily that at $79.15, if you are near E, if on the gas gauge on the car, it's near E for Eveready, you might want to buy gasoline at the it's pricey now, $4.43.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling it's going to be pricier if this trend continues. Yeah, because as I said, it's the worldwide demand is up. It's summertime. People are driving, so watch out for that. And as best you can, put some additional gasoline in the car at the relatively lower prices that we're looking at right now. So, okay, all right. Let me stand by one. Let me go back and take a look at what the numbers on the market are going to end up being. Jerry Roberts in the Extra Point coming up here in just a few minutes. And I do have a piece of sound that I was looking for with Joe St. Augustine talking with Kevin Kerrigan about what he thinks is going to be happening over at the legislature and the admonition on the guys over at the governor's office for making hires at the same time that they're talking about the so-called fiscal crisis. All right, numbers all closed up in the green for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. DJI at 24,271. NASDAQ trading at 7,510, and the S&P 500 opens up tomorrow morning, stateside time at $2,700.18. The Nikkei at 22,304. The FTSE is up 7,636. Hang Seng Index at 28,955, and the Shanghai Index closing at 28,48. So all of the indexes, all of the major indexes are up. The DAX is up as well, 128 points to close at 12,306. And I think that is all of the numbers. Let me just take a quick look at gold. 1,254 if you've got some of that in your portfolio. $16.19 for silver if you're buying that stuff by the ounce today. 7:21 in the morning, and that's what happened in the market. It's time right now to find out what is in Jerry Roberts' head. Here's today's Extra Point.
Using the term millennials and leadership in the same sentence can often spark an interesting conversation. I'm Jerry Roberts, and today we'll try to have one of those on the Extra Point. If you ask managers and business owners about the millennial generation and their workplace reputation, you might hear things like they're not as focused on getting work done as hoped for, or they don't stay very long, changing jobs frequently. Of course, these are generalizations, but a lot of people in this group have earned them. Yet there are millennials who do want to work hard, get ahead, and even become leaders, and they want help to do that. Now, 71% of millennials who are likely to leave an organization within 2 years aren't happy with how their leadership skills are being developed. This is the segment of millennials who want leadership training and want to be in a leadership position in the next 5 years. EY, also known as Ernst & Young, has stepped up to help make that happen. One of the largest professional service firms in the world, EY has an average age across their workforce of 28 years old, with millennials making up 2/3 of their company. So they have a vested interest here. EY trains millennials in what they call future-focused areas of interest. Things like analyzing data, artificial intelligence, robotics, and other courses that 1, many millennials are already interested in, and 2, their clients will need in the years to come. Having certifications in these skills will differentiate them in the marketplace, and that's a big deal with millennials. Second, EY has moved away from dreaded and loathsome annual performance reviews and instead has gone to real-time feedback, which the individual can request from anybody in the firm. They want constructive conversations that point forward and focus on what they want to do in their career, plus how EY is going to help them get there. To do just that, EY meets with each person every 90 days to do a check-in on progress and tweak the plan where needed. When you add this to the real-time feedback, I think this is powerful. Workers have an online dashboard they can access, which summarizes the feedback and how they're doing in all areas. And at the end of the year, they can compare themselves with their peers. Finally, EY has developed a coaching culture, and this is a huge benefit. I've been preaching the benefits of coaching for years and have written a course on it. Millennials prefer to be coached over every other leadership style. By investing in the development of coaches, EY can help workers at any point in their work, including preparation for client meetings. And a side benefit. These millennials, having experienced the value of coaching and having learned how to coach, will one day be able to return the favor for future workers. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 and the Ray Gibson Show, I'm Jerry Roberts.
All I need now is a staff of people that will do all of that additional dashboard work for me. Boy, that's some fun stuff, isn't it? 7:24 in the morning, the Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, who was at my side most of the day yesterday at Pops Memorial. I appreciate your company and appreciate everybody else that took the time to show up or even send me a kind word on Facebook. Very appreciated. 7:24 in the morning, and that's the Extra Point. So we'll take a look at what's happening in traffic and headlines on the way with Kevin Kerrigan.
Chili's $10 lunch combos. Experience fresh flavors layered in every bite with our pork carnitas tacos, the Cajun chicken pasta, our quesadilla explosion salad, the California flatbread, and so much more. Each entree comes with a fresh house salad, warm soup, or a cup of tasty chili. Chili's $10 lunch combos. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
I was counting. Don't interrupt me when I'm counting. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I'll have to get back to it in a second. What I was counting was the number of people that have decided that they're going to be running for political office, got their paperwork in on time, and now just waiting for certification from the Guam Election Commission. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a bit. Doesn't look like there's any major problems. Looking at the traffic gizmo right now and don't see anything that looks like it's going to be slowing you down, either at the entrance to Anderson Air Force Base or Big Navy. Ooh, wait a second. Hold on. I spoke too soon. Looks like there's traffic slowing down as you make your way towards Sumai and the Big Navy location here. Don't see anything in front of Navy Hospital, so it looks like we're smooth moving through there. And what else do I have here? Coming into the downtown area, Route 4, just before you get through Sinahanya, just as you get up to by Addis Funeral Home, might be a few more cars waiting at that intersection into and out of Agana at Route 7A and Route 8. Looks like there's a few more cars in traffic through there as well. Expect some delays at 7:26. That's right now traffic on the point.
Did you hear that Morrico Equipment on Ipoh Road in Tuning is now an employee-owned company? It's called an ESOP, or ESOP, which stands for Employee Stock Ownership Plan. Collectively, the employees now own Morrico Equipment. Morrico made this change in response to the U.S. military buildup on Guam to retain key employees and to recruit new ones. There's now strong motivation for employees as owners to take responsibility for their role in the company. If you're interested in talking to Morrico about future employment prospects, please apply through their webpage, morricoequipment.com.
right, so what do we got here? It looks like 20 Republicans and 20 Democrats and 19 Republicans that have gotten their paperwork in on time at the Guam Election Commission. Shall I read all of the names? No, I tell you what, this is what I'll just read the names of the one that I think are going to win the election. Okay? So I won't waste any time reading the names of the who won, who two, or who three. I'll just read the names of the ones that I think that are... I'll just read the ones that I intend to vote for. How's that? You want me to go there, don't you? That'd be fun. Ray Gibson said he was voting for Jermaine Alerta and Celestine Babauta and Regine Bisco-Lee, Leja Casil, Mondo Dominguez, once again putting his hat in the ring, Jack Hattick III, Kelly Marsh, I see Franklin Mano, Maria Milligan, Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, former senator, wants back in, Telena Nelson, current senator, wants in, Ned Pablo, there's Adolfo Palacios, I've seen his name preceded by senator in the past, William Parkinson, Sabina Perez, Clinton Rigel, Clint for short, journalist, Joe San Augustin, current incumbent, Amanda Shelton, Jose Terlai, and another incumbent, Therese Terlai. I neglected to say that Regine Bisco-Lee is an incumbent among the 20 that is shooting for another spot at another run at the 35th Guam legislature. Here's the Republican list. Ken Joe Ada, Alfredo Antolin, Janae Uggan, Javier Atalig, Amanda Blas, Roland Blas, Ryan Calvo, Bill Castro, the incumbent, Will Castro, the incumbent, Harold Cruz, Stephen Guerrero, seen that name up there before, Jimmy Moylan, Luis Muñoz, incumbent, Jose San Augustin, Julia Santos, Benito Servino, Tello Taitagui, former senator, again, wants back in, Michelle Taitanu, Mary Torres, the incumbent, and that's Mary Torres, not Mary Rhodes, by the way, Jeff Wheaton, and then we've got the battle of the threes for the office of Attorney General, Congressman, and Washington delegate, and the public auditor, Levin Camacho, Gary Gumatautau, Douglas Moylan. I will admit to a bias here, and it is a bias in favor of noisy talk radio, noisy, disruptive talk radio. Either Gary Gumatautau or Doug Moylan would be fine. I'm not saying that Levin isn't. I'm just saying that between Gary and Moylan and the lack of filtering on either of them, I think it's going to make for more fun for me to do talk radio. And that's the goal. It has to be fun for me. I'm the guy that has to sit in front of the microphone for 4 hours. Madeline Berdallo, Mike Sinicolas, and Doris Flores Brooks are running for the office of congressional representative for Guam. And then when it comes to public auditor, and all of this has been settled now by the Guam Election Commission, Speaker B.J. Cruz can run for office for the public auditor without stepping down from his job as senator. However, within 10 days of winning that election, if the public so chooses, then he is going to, as I understand it, have to step down as speaker and senator and assume the role of the public auditor.
That is correct.
Leaving a serious power vacuum left over at the legislature, and with enough time
to make yet another change to tax laws.
As Brother Tom used to say, when I was a little boy in high school, Brother Tom used to say, Gibson, if you had any brains, you'd be dangerous. And so that's the way I feel about the remaining members of the legislature without BJ to provide his speaker's guidance. Okay, enough of that editorial. Doreen Crisostomo, who ran against Doris in the last OPA race, lost, his history will tell, and current number one over at the public auditor's office in the absence of Doris Flores Brooks, Yuka Hachinova. And the Guam Election Commission has determined that she is capable of running for that position at in the public auditor's race. So I think it's going to be, it's that much more exciting. Now, to the degree that what we ought to be doing is talking to these people about, getting them in and doing interviews and candidate interviews and things like that. Yeah, we'll work on that. And when I say we'll work on that, I mean Mike will work on that. It's 7:31 in the morning and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. Guam Memorial Hospital has until July 25th to achieve substantial compliance at its skilled nursing home facility in Barrigada Heights, much earlier than the October deadline the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services set for the hospital itself. The Guam Daily Post has obtained a copy of a May 11th letter CMS sent to GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho outlining their concerns about deficiencies at the skilled nursing unit. In that letter, CMS threatens to deny payments for new admissions unless substantial compliance is achieved by July 25th. Failing that, by the October 25th deadline, CMS says they'll terminate the provider agreement at the skilled nursing unit. Fire hazards were among the problems cited by CMS, including exit doors and emergency lighting that failed to meet federal standards. A 37-year-old cargo screener has admitted to stealing more than $16,000 worth of goods from inbound flights carrying mail intended for delivery here on Guam. According to a plea agreement unsealed Friday in district court, Tomas Joaquin Santos Atoigui pleaded guilty to mail theft. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. Atoigui was a cargo screener for the Unlimited Services Group at the United Air Cargo Facility for about a year. During that time, he admitted to stealing TV sets, computers, and watches, according to court documents. United Airlines has announced a new twice-weekly service between Saipan and Guam beginning August 2nd. United will deploy a Boeing 737-700. The service, scheduled to depart Guam on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11:30 p.m. and arrive in Saipan at 12:15 a.m. The return flight departs Saipan Wednesdays and Fridays at 4:55 a.m. and arrives on Guam at 5:40 a.m. United's director for Asia-Pacific Operations, Sam Shinohara, said since the start of the daily jet service between Guam and Saipan on June 1st, they've seen strong demand between the islands. The new twice-weekly service, he said, will enable Saipan customers to make a same-day connection to Honolulu and Japan with just one stop on Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
When you talked to Sam, did he tell you how much that costs? What's the price on that ticket?
I haven't spoken to Sam yet.
Okay,
nope.
Let's see if we can
just fresh off the release.
Okay,
yeah.
so Aubreen, did when you talked to Sam, did he tell you what the ticket price is going to be? Because I've been threatening to go up to Saipan for some time now, and the only thing that was holding me back was the overnight thing. So now that they've got a couple of flights, additional flights during the week, it looks like I might be able to get back in something that feels like real time. It's either that or Bob Klitsky can take over the program again. 7:34 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push to talk and mobile plan.
More than 40 local companies have partnered with Take Care to bring you some of the best deals across the island through the Take Care Affinity Rewards program. From Spa Bali, Guam Reef and Gabriel's Restaurant to Tango Theaters, Dolce Frutti, and many more. Take Care members can simply present their membership cards at our partner locations to receive a special offer or discount. For a complete listing of Take Care's affinity partners and deals, visit takecareasia.com or check out our Take Care app for all the latest updates.
Portions of the program also brought to you by my friends over at American President Lines. APL is shipping the future.
We get it. Gas and utility rates keep rising with no end in sight. But with Double Play from GTA, you can get an extra sweet summer deal that'll save you extra cash. Sign up today and get 50 megabits per second with fiber home internet, unlimited talk and text, plus 25 gigabytes of wireless data. And new customers get the first month free with no contract. Save over $500 in the first year and get extra this summer with Double Play from GTA. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for more details.
Is it traffic? It's getting to be traffic. As a matter of fact, I was telling you about a little bit of a slowdown moving up towards Sinahanya, and that light looks like some of that line of traffic has moved into that first intersection that will take you right-hand turn towards the Agana Shopping Center, left-hand turn towards the courthouse area. So watch out for that little bit of slowdown. Is it still stacked up in front of Sumai? Not moving as slow. A lot of cars, but they should be moving through there without any serious issues. Down Route 7, that's the Route 8, then through the Agana Shopping Center. You might see a line of traffic moving through that particular roadway, but it doesn't look like anybody is doing any serious slowing down. Route 1, Marine Corps Drive southbound from Dededo to the intersection of Marine Corps Drive and Guam Regional Medical City. Looks like it's smooth going through there. You might hit a couple of pockets of additional traffic, but certainly nothing that's going to slow you down crazy right about now. At 7:37, that's right now traffic here on The Point.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra, extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yup, we kicked up our Pika Chicken a notch with Sriracha. Sriracha! It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Cheap political ploys. Start listening around. How do I want to say that? There's a way that you can do things, they've got these smartphones and these smart speakers. So what if you say, "Hey Alexa, turn on KUSG," and it will find the radio station. You'll be able to play it on your smart speakers. Or "Okay Google, play Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World" on Spotify. And there is the possibility that my phone might actually...
Asking Spotify to play Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
Yeah, okay, so that's the way that works. So maybe there's a way that we can set up certain listening stations for the words, specifically cheap political ploy. See, I tried this last week, and the problem is I don't know how to shut it off once the thing gets started. But maybe a way that we can have these things listen for the words cheap political ploy, because I think they're going to be starting to get tossed around with a lot of frequency these days. I read now from the Gutierrez-Bradallo letter that was sent to Elizabeth Barrett Anderson. You might know her. She's the Attorney General of Guam. Dear Ms. Anderson, your office recently issued an opinion concluding that a Gutierrez-Bradallo campaign supporter may have violated the Mini-Hatch Act. The basis for this conclusion was the alleged disbursement of campaign materials at a Pacific Star Hotel conference room during a Government of Guam-sponsored conference on aging. If your opinion correctly states the law, there was significant other political activity at the conference which was not the subject of criminal complaints. Requests for your opinion are presumably presented to you, and thus were not included or referenced in your opinion. Because of this fact, it is blatantly obvious that the request for your opinion on this issue was nothing more than a, say it with me now, cheap political ploy to unfairly prosecute this campaign and to cast it in a bad light. And then they go on in this to start talking about the other political activity that was taking place over at this conference, including apparently it was Carl's guys couldn't be seen walking around handing out their campaign materials, but apparently in the souvenir booklet that was printed up, there were advertisements from the other political campaigns that were represented there. Is this Carl on one? Hey, good morning, Gov. How you doing?
Hello?
So, good morning, Governor Carl.
Hey, welcome back.
It's good to be home. Just thrilled, and thank you very much for letting me lead with some more earned media here on your campaign. I'd heard about this when it happened, and I thought, well, that's a terrible thing. They found one of your campaign folks that was, I don't know, was it handing out brochures, bumper stickers, dollar bills with your picture on them? I don't. What was it?
The key here was that it was public health that came to our headquarters selling ads. Political ads for their booklet.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our political ads, as other candidates' political ads, were in the booklet, and they were passing them out at the conference. It's part of the program. So when one of my supporters, who was attendee there, saw it, she went out of the car and got her own, political pamphlets.
Yeah.
That was almost the same as was inside the pamphlet, the program, and started to pass it out. And, of course, Joseph Cameron threw a hissy fit and said, "You can't do that. That's against the Mini-Hatch Act." And, of course, this woman has never worked in the government and still doesn't. And she takes care of a special needs child and her mom. And so she was so scared that she was going to go to jail. So she gathered up what she could. Mm-hmm. And some of the other senior citizens didn't want to get back there. They stuck it in there first, But
I'm sorry. I'm stuck on the Joe Cameron hissy fit.
I'm sorry, I can't see you. I'm on my cell phone, but
that's a visual. It's going to stay with me for the rest of the day. I want you to know that. So the person from the Gutierrez Bradallo camp was not even an employee of the government of Guam.
No. And she was attending the conference. You know, she was interested in that because she has an elderly mom that she's taking care of. She also has special needs. But the brother who's almost bedridden, kind of special needs, she takes care of that too. And she wanted to go there and see what programs there were, but very supportive of our campaign. And she thought that she would get more of what's in the program, you know, in the form of a pamphlet and pass it out. And, you know, there were senators there and gubernatorial candidates going around shaking hands, and all these other, you know, attendees are strangers to them. So obviously they're campaigning and electioneering. And nobody said anything about that.
So those guys didn't get pinched the same way that you did.
No.
Or your campaign, or your person did.
This thing happened on May 31st, and a month later they're making their complaint, you know, directly for us. And of course, the Attorney General's office never came over to find out what the real story was. Had they done it, we wouldn't have had to go in and make another complaint to bring out all the facts of what has transpired. That we were led into committing a mini Hatch Act violation by public health, initiating it, coming down to our headquarters, and they denied that. If you read the newspaper,
yeah,
woman said, no, we have our surrogate out there that does that. But then we showed proof of emails from public health, you know, when the person's name that was down there selling it. And so we don't know what Barrett Anderson will do, but certainly she has to take this all the way to the conclusion of it and not just, you know, blame Gutierrez Bordali, which was honestly made by a non-employee.
Right. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, it's not the same thing as you know. I'll throw out a couple of names as examples. If Tello Taitagui from the governor's office was down there passing out literature or buying advertisements, I suppose, for the Tenorio ADA camp, right?
That's very different than that, because that and actually when she opined that wherever the official workplace is of the government, that becomes part of the violation of a mini Hatch Act, and it just doesn't make sense. This was at a hotel, and you know there are people that are living in Section 8 housing, which is paid for by the federal government. That means that the canvassers can't go drop stuff off there. It didn't make sense to us. I mean, if it was in a government building, official office where you have a desk and that's where you do your business,
mm-hmm.
this was a conference and I guess a luncheon that's going on, and to anybody, I think it would be an exempt status.
Is the Attorney General's office even the right venue for this? Because this is the question that I've got every time something like this comes up. Because it seems to me that when I talked with Pete Calvo, right, over at the Civil Service Commission, complaints on the Mini Hatch Act go through them because it's an employee issue.
That's right. And, you know, Leo Casil is a relative of mine. All I'm saying is he's a good man. He just got bullied into doing something for somebody.
Yeah.
And that just didn't make sense. And a month later at that, I mean, it just didn't make sense. That violation should have been, you know, reported the same day. And I don't know whether Joseph Cameron works for the Department of Public Health or whether he's just a part of the program. But he was the one that advised our person, and she got so scared that she doesn't want to go to any more conferences.
All right. Watch the passing parade and all of this other stuff. All right. Well, I'm wondering what's going to be happening with this. And like I said, a little bit of earned media for the Gutierrez Bordalio campaign, and so that's why I wanted to bring this up. I think there's probably going to be more of this kind of thing that are moving through. It seems to be that this early in the process now, there seems to be a whole lot of wrongdoing or complaints of wrongdoing, Mini Hatch Act violations. And bogus signatures that seem to be showing up now with regularity over at the Guam Election Commission. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, you know, a couple of our supporters are on there, and my goddaughter, as a matter of fact, was interviewed because she came out here to visit, you know, from San Francisco, and all of a sudden she sees her name and her maiden name on the list, and so it's just laziness of government employees who were demanded by someone to go out and get signatures, and they're going to get it one way or the other because they're not the kind of people to go house to house getting signatures. You know what I'm saying?
So you get a ton of visuals in my head working this morning, but as I said, the Joe Cameron hissy fit, that's going to stay with me for the rest of the day, in the very least. Now, as a competitive campaigner, you're on the Democratic side. You've got enough to worry about with Lou and Dennis and Frank nipping at the heels here. But as a gubernatorial candidate, do you think they're doing enough over at the Guam Election Commission to investigate fully all of the signatures that are being turned in on all of the petitions?
I don't know. I haven't been following it up, but it seems like it's gotten their attention. And there are others on the outside, I believe, from the Attorney General's office that's also doing it. So hopefully they will go through the entire process and figure it all out, and not just stay on a couple of sheets.
Yeah, well, I think Chris Barnett can only handle so many names at a time. So I think you're probably going to need to get a little bit more outside help for him on this.
The question, Ray, was why was Gutierrez Bordallo targeted with this Mini Hats Act complaint? And if it was coming from the administration, why are they all of a sudden targeting us? And it makes us feel good that maybe we're the competitor in the general election.
I'm going to stop right there. That's a good place to end the interview. Gov, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Have a terrific morning. 888-8255. That number again is 888-8255. And I kind of want as much balance as possible in this conversation. So we'll see if there's anybody else there that we need to talk to about this. As I said, it's an interesting conversation that takes place when there is allegations of a mini Hatch Act, and the conversation then goes to the Attorney General. I don't believe that is the appropriate venue for any of this one way or the other. I think it's got to start with the Civil Service Commission, and then they will determine whether, in fact, there has been a violation of the Mini Hatch Act, and then decide what it is that they're going to do and what penalties that they might be able to apply. I did want to talk on a couple of other issues with Senator Dennis Rodriguez, and it's going to be tough this morning because the guys that are running for office that are also incumbents over at the legislature have got a ton of work in front of them today. Today is not going to be, I'll make another prediction. Today's not going to be a good day for the taxpayers of Guam. And I'll tell you why. The reason why it's not going to be a good day for the taxpayers of Guam is they're going to be going in and having the gavel in over at the legislature and talk about a measure that was supposed to be the reversal of the piece of legislation that came out that provided for an increase in the business privilege tax that we are currently living under. We are now in a day and age of a 5% business privilege tax. And then at the end of this fiscal year, the beginning of the new fiscal year, they were going to revert that back to 4%, but apply a 2% visible sales tax. So effectively, our taxable rate on all goods and services purchased on Guam would be 6%. Well, it didn't take very long after the mea culpas and the beating of the chest and the apologies tour over at the legislature, not to mention other interesting spending in the administration that got people thinking, well, wait a second, what fiscal crisis are we? How can you call it a fiscal crisis if it took a month and a half to get to a point where we were talking about instituting a tax amnesty, which could have been done even before the legislation was enacted? How can we be talking about a fiscal crisis where we've taken on not one, not two people, the folks over at the governor's office that have been hired in this fiscal year to the tune of $60,000, $65,000, $67,000 as special assistants? What fiscal crisis? So the guys over at the legislature say, yeah, we're going to entertain this. It finally gets on the July agenda, and here we are in July, and they're going to go over to the legislature, and they're going to talk about repealing the tax. And they will be able to stand up on whatever platform they want to stand up on and try to get themselves reelected by saying, I repealed the sales tax. Of course, they didn't back away. They won't back away from the 5% GRT and take it back to 4%. But they'll be able to say, I repealed the visible sales tax for the people. My dear people of Guam, I did this for you. Yada, yada, yada. That was my prediction last week before. I said, this is what's going to happen. And sure enough, that's what it looks like today. It's a conversation with Tom Atta in the last hour, and that scared the heck out of me because Tom is of the opinion that there is probably going to be somebody over at the legislature who will say, 5% ain't enough. Here's what we're going to do, guys. We got to go to 6, because Lester said it's either that or we might have to do layoffs and furloughs. 1,500 employees of the government of Guam that may face this, that, or the other. And I'm sorry, jaded member of the taxpaying public going, so? What? Oh, sorry? That's too bad, huh? I knew some people who worked in a business, and when the business started to slide down for nobody's fault, there were people that had to get let go, or the boss went to them and said, well, you know what, guys, we're going to have to do a reduction in force. I know of a company that is not having the best 2018. And they don't want to get rid of their employees. They love their employees. Take care of the employees. Give them superior benefits. But the answer to the question is, until times get good again, we can only cover you for about 75% of the hours that you would normally get. So figure out how we're going to eliminate 25% of your hourly take in the company. And we'll work in that schedule until times get good again. Could they raise their rates? Well, I don't know. They're in the business, as many people in business are, where there's a whole lot of dynamic competition going on here, and the public is very rate sensitive. So I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I'm not sure if that's going to happen for the government of Guam. But I can tell you right now, it's happening in the private sector. People are right-sizing. People are dealing with the softer economy by doing what it is that businesses need to do, and I just don't see that happening in the government of Guam. It's 7:53 in the morning. Earlier, we were talking a little bit about this particular story, and Kevin Kerrigan, when did you do this interview with Joe S.?
Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. Kevin Kerrigan sits down with Joe S., and specifically to ask him about this measure. Now, my understanding is at that time, when you were talking to him, they had not yet put together what the final version is going to be that they're talking about.
No, it's cleared committee on Friday.
Cleared the committee on Friday.
Cleared, and that's what he's commenting on.
All right, let's listen together. Kevin Kerrigan. This is like on-the-ground journalism with Kevin Kerrigan and Joe S. in Augustin.
Tell us what's the final bill going to look like?
Well, the only amendment on the bill, Kevin, is that the sunset clause of the 5% on the GRT will stay. The 5% will stay beyond October. That's the only change on the bill. Everything else will stay as is.
2% repeal.
2% repeal, 5% stays.
Indefinitely?
I didn't put a date, so it's indefinitely.
How about the rumblings from the fiscal team? They were saying furloughs on October 1st. Not enough to cover.
Well, Kevin, they kept saying that when we introduced the bill for the sales tax. Now they're saying the 5% won't cover it. Neither will the 2%. Well, then that should tell them whatever they spend to hire folks, they should have considered that before they hire them, before they raise their salaries. And, gosh, reorganize, redefine how your government is set up. Because whatever they submit on the budget, we'll take a look at it, and if there's money, then we'll distribute it accordingly.
Great, thank you.
Which is what we said that they should do in January and February when just launching this show, relaunching the Ray Gibson Show on the radio. This is not new. They were gaveling in over at the legislature trying to figure out how we were going to save Guam Memorial Hospital from apparently themselves. And then that turned into the fiscal crisis for the government of Guam, and that turned into the increase in the business privilege tax and the threat of another 2%, effective taxation rate of 6% in this town. And I told you this was going to happen. I guarantee they have fallen in love with the additional revenue that 1% bump in the business privilege tax has brought to them, and they will not be able to separate. They get grabby with money. And so they've gotten used to that additional money, even though it's only been flowing in the coffers for about the last 60 days. They're used to it, and nobody wants to make any hard decisions on the cuts. Even though virtually every editorial that you will read, if you've been paying any attention to the printed news, virtually every editorial that you have read in the last couple of months has all been talking about, hey, we got to make some tough decisions. We got to make some tough decisions. Doesn't look like that's going to be happening. 7:56 in the morning, and if we get some time here, looking to see if we can might get some phone time with Senator Frank Uggan, who is, quote, pushing for public engagement before placing people at risk for paying more. Here's the media advisory, went out yesterday. Senator Frank Bloss Uggan Jr. will be holding a press conference to push for the public's involvement before placing people at risk for paying more under the current administration and the 34th Guam legislature. Press conference will be held today, 8:45 a.m. at the Guam Congress Building, main hall in the downtown Hagåtña area. Media partners and all interested individuals are invited to participate. What he's going to stand on top. Remember when they put the hearse there? He's going to bring it back and stand on top of the hearse and deliver his comments there. Public engagement before placing people at risk for paying more.
Didn't Michael Jackson do that?
Crotch grabber.
Yeah, but he stood on top of something.
I remember in the video it was good because he was grabbing his own crotch in that one.
See, yeah.
Okay, but I'm trying to think about what it is that he has in mind. Didn't Mike St. Nicholas want to do something at the legislature? Want to put together a resolution that would call for a vote by the people of Guam for any increases in taxes or any new taxation or new loans, right?
Yes, but it didn't pass.
It didn't pass.
No.
Okay, so I'm wondering if that maybe that's what this is going to be, another attempt at something like that, where we go to the voters and say, hey, listen, government of Guam refuses to rework itself so that we can live within our means. Are you okay with an increase in taxes?
We're going to have to wait and find out.
I hate waiting and finding out. I like to know now. I don't know. Everybody's busy this morning because they're all getting ready for the dog and pony show that's going to happen over at the legislature. With the same, can we just forego the conclusion that we're going to get stuck at 5%? You want to do that? And maybe at risk for an additional increase in the BPT by 1%. Somebody's going to come out with it. Somebody will jump up and say we need to go to 6. It'll probably be somebody over at Adelup, and maybe we'll watch and see what kind of compromise takes place from there. Well, there's the music. That means I got to wrap up the hour. Coming up, I got Fox News Live. We do not download. We do not take delay. This is a live newscast from the folks over at the Fox News headquarters. On the other side of that, live with Kevin Kerrigan, and big news from the Guam Daily Post. That's all ahead. And I haven't had the opportunity to sit down with Blake Watson and whisper words of sports in his ears. But, man, did you watch the Korea game? Did you watch the Korea-Germany FIFA game that took place the other night? I heard it before I saw it. I'll explain as we start yakking sports in the next hour of the program. This is The Ray Gibson Show on KUSG Hagåtña 93.3, The Point.
Payback from up north. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. Tariffs imposed by Canada on almost $13 billion in U.S. exports taking effect today in response to tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. Meanwhile, President Trump putting the brakes for now on any revised trade deal with Canada or Mexico.
When it comes to the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, President Trump told Fox's Maria Bartiromo there is a proposal on the table.
NAFTA, I could sign it tomorrow, but I'm not happy with it. I want to make it more fair.
The president pointing to Canada and its Prime Minister Justin Trudeau specifically, saying he thinks Trudeau will be okay with the deal he wants to make. If not,
I'm going to tax their cars coming into America.
The president says he doesn't want to put his signature on any trade deal with Canada and Mexico until after the midterm election in November.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Police in Boise, Idaho saying the 9 victims injured in a stabbing spree last night, including refugees from Africa and the Middle East.
We have no specific evidence at this time to believe that it was a hate crime based on the specific evidence we have in our hands. However, due to the nature, location, and the victims, we are, of course, investigating all potential leads.
Police Chief William Bones says the suspect under arrest was asked to leave the apartment where the attack occurred. Some of the victims were children attending a birthday party. sweating and sizzling across the nation.
When you have 3 days of 90 degrees or more, that's officially a heat wave, and tomorrow will mark officially a heat wave here in New York City. The temperature today, 98 degrees, but I tell you, other temperatures around the country, well, it's 106 high in Las Vegas, 96 in Houston as a high, 94 in New Orleans, 97 in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Fox's Brian Yennis. Tesla hits its target. CEO Elon Musk saying the electric automaker produced 5,000 Model 3 vehicles in 1 week. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with Typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Always here to help you. This island is our home. Through the years, we've been a friend to the neighbors we have known. Now we're banking on the future. More services to choose. Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
President Trump getting closer to settling on a Supreme Court pick.
He started with a list of 25 candidates. He says he's narrowed it down now to about 5, and he says 2 women are included in that small pool that he's now looked at. He says, though, it's possible he could interview more than just those 5. Some Democrats say the Senate should not vote on a Supreme Court nominee until after the November elections. They say that's a precedent Republicans set when they refuse to hold hearings or votes on then-President Barack Obama's pick, Merrick Garland.
Fox's Ellison Barber covering the president in Bedminster, New Jersey. It sounds like something from a Hollywood thriller. A prisoner in France escaping in grandiose fashion when a helicopter carrying commandos landed in the prison courtyard and took him away. This wasn't the first daring dash to freedom for Redwan Faid. He once blasted his way out of a different prison with explosives hidden in tissue packs. Where will some of basketball's biggest stars land? A handful making it easy on the first day of free agency.
Warrior fans will be happy to know that their 2-time Finals MVP, Kevin Durant, will sign a 1-and-1 deal with Golden State worth $60.5 million. While LeBron James and his agent are talking with the Cavs, reports say the Kings' subjects are meeting with the 76ers in L.A. Max deals were made as the Rockets signed Chris Paul to 4 years, $160 million. Nikola Jokic gets 5 years and $148 million from the Nuggets. The Thunder signed Paul George to a 4-year deal with $137 million. The Mavericks and DeAndre Jordan agreed to a 1-year deal with $24.1 million. Mike DeMurgis, Fox News.
A pair of nail-biters at the World Cup.
He sends them through. Croatia in this World Cup of attrition. Don't bow out on to the quarterfinals after penalties.
The call on Fox Sports: Croatia defeating Denmark in a penalty shootout. The earlier game going down in history as one of the greatest upsets of all time. Russia eliminating Spain in a penalty shootout as well. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Chili's $10 lunch combos. Experience fresh flavors layered in every bite with our pork carnitas tacos, the Cajun chicken pasta, our quesadilla explosion salad, the California flatbread, and so much more. Each entree comes with a fresh house salad, warm soup, or a cup of tasty chili. Chili's $10 lunch combos. Available Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. At Chili's, fresh is happening now.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
More than 40 local companies have partnered with Take Care to bring you some of the best deals across the island through the Take Care Affinity Rewards program. From Spa Bali, Guam Reef and Gabriel's Restaurant to Tango Theaters, Dolce Frutti, and many more. Take Care members can simply present their membership cards at our partner locations to receive a special offer or discount. For a complete listing of Take Care's affinity partners and deals, visit TakeCareAsia.com or check out our Take Care app for all the latest updates.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers heading back into session this morning at 9. Topping the agenda, Senator Michael San Nicolas's bill to repeal the 2% sales tax. Appropriations Committee Chair Senator Joe San Augustine said it's been revised to keep the 5% business privilege tax in place to make up for the loss of the sales tax if it's repealed. The BBT was supposed to drop back down to 4% on October 1st. However, San Augustine, some other senators want it left at 5% in order to preserve some funding for Guam Memorial Hospital and Guam DOE if the sales tax is revoked. However, some members of the governor's fiscal team last week warned a 5% BBT won't be enough to cover all the needs of GMH, DOE, and the projected $120 million shortfall expected next fiscal year. Senator Tom Atta on The Point this morning telling host Ray Gibson that an amendment to raise the BBT up to 6% may be introduced during this week's session. Rev Taxes Collections Division filed notice last June of 2 liens against Mid-Pacific Distributing for unpaid taxes totaling $14.7 million. The tax in question, the gross receipts tax. The assessed amounts include interest and penalty, according to the lien notices, which state demand for payment of this liability has been made, but it remains unpaid. Mid-Pacific Distributing is a wholesale distributor of alcohol and tobacco products. It's one of the companies owned by Calvo Enterprises. The $14.7 million in unpaid taxes owed at that time, last June, covered a period between April 2014 through March of last year. It's not clear whether the taxes have been paid in full yet, why they weren't paid before, or what these unpaid taxes were assessed on. MidPAC President John T. Calvo declined to respond to those questions when contacted by the Guam Daily Post. Instead, in an email, Calvo said that MidPAC is a long-standing, privately owned local company which pays a substantial amount of Guam taxes and is meeting all of its tax obligations to the government of Guam. We'll have more news after this.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The employees of Morrico Equipment on Guam have something very special all to themselves every morning they go to work, and that is pride. They have pride in the Morrico Equipment logo, and they have pride in wearing the Morrico Equipment uniform. They have pride in driving each Morrico Equipment service truck and in operating the Morrico Equipment lowboy heavy haul tractor. Morrico Equipment employees have pride in their company because they own the company. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. If you would like to join the Morrico Equipment ESOP team, please apply via morricoequipment.com.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. The Special Investigative Committee formed to probe allegations of corruption and mismanagement at Guam Memorial Hospital has until mid-October to wrap it up. The resolution authorizing the investigation set a 120-day limit to complete it from the date of passage on June 18th. During their first meeting on Friday, the committee members approved the hiring of a licensed investigator to assist them at a cost of no more than $25,000. Committee co-chair and gubernatorial candidate Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. announced that the investigation will not include probes of the Guam Police Department and the Chamorro Land Trust Commission as earlier planned. That's because the legislature's legal counsel advised that those two agencies could not be included in the probe because they are not mentioned in the resolution. A new resolution would have to be adopted to authorize additional investigations of GPD and the CLTC. A 27-year-old sergeant in the Guam Army National Guard is behind bars accused of engaging in and recording sexual acts with a female minor and disseminating the images on social media. Jerry Thomas Guerrero II, arrested after the Guam Police Department Domestic Assault Response Team conducted an investigation into a minor engaging in sexual acts with an adult male. And GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau said that the acts had been recorded by the man and disseminated to the female minor via Snapchat, a social media platform. Guerrero was arrested, charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct and child pornography, among other allegations. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Partly sunny today with isolated showers. There's thunderstorms in the forecast as well. East winds 10 to 20 miles an hour, decreasing after sunset. Highs today about 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 78 degrees. Now, we put this forecast together for you, back early this morning, right? So I wanted to take a look and have Mike look at the current radar map and tell you what it is that we're looking at. You see the thunderstorms working on that?
Yeah, just got a lot of very widely isolated showers. A little heavier down to the south. That's pretty typical. We got a disturbance that's kind of moving in from there. Not real sure exactly how much rain this disturbance will bring us through the rest of the week, but it looks like starting Wednesday and all the way through Friday, we could be in for a pretty good dose of rainfall as this thing slides on down.
That's
past
that
us.
blobage that's over the Marshalls right now, right?
Blob, yeah, that big blob right down to our southeast. 91W is what they're calling that, and it's not really showing the current forecast models are showing very little in the way of development until it gets west of here. But until then, it's going to bring in quite a bit of moisture and instability.
Okay, but it is moving. That's the important thing.
Yes.
I don't like it when they're starting to develop and starting to put together a little bit of a formation and then start to slow down in the open ocean.
Yeah, and
that
this
makes me
actually
crazy.
is moving pretty slowly. So we'll have to keep an eye on it as we do this time of year. But right now, it's not forecast to become anything until it gets well west.
Gotcha. That's a look at news and weather together here on The Point. It's 8:14.
We get it. Gas and utility rates keep rising with no end in sight. But with Double Play from GTA, you can get an extra sweet summer deal that'll save you extra cash. Sign up today and get 50 megabits per second with fiber home internet, unlimited talk and text, plus 25 gigabytes of wireless data. And new customers get the first month free with no contract. Save over $500 in the first year and get extra this summer with Double Play from GTA. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for more details.
I like extra. When they say extra, I pay attention. And extra good food waiting for you over at King's. Great tasting, good for you, because that's the way it's been for the last 40 years. And they know what you like. They know on Mondays. Everybody got this hankering. They said, what do you like on Mondays? I like Salisbury steak. Can I get that? It's meat candy.
If they'd asked you, though, you probably would have said fried chicken, which is okay because they serve that.
You can do fried chicken every day, and I'll be a happy guy. But they, if Salisbury steak's not your deal, try the pick 2 or pick 3 combos waiting for you lunchtime today at King's.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
We're just talking about the colors of my shirt for some reason here. We'll get more on that with Blake Watson here in just a second. Where are we now? 8:15. Portions of the program brought to you by Security Title. When you absolutely need confidentiality in your real estate transactions, those are the guys.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, Turkey, Bacon, and Guac, Rotisserie-style Chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
My Facebook friend Joelle Nicole Thomas posted up a meme last week. Says, I feel weird when I keep liking the same person's posts all the time. Like, I'm not obsessed with you. I just think you're hilarious. So how many times do you suppose in a row should you like somebody's posts on Facebook? I mean, is there a point where you're liking so much and you go, you know, if people from the outside always saw my name attached to this person's, you know, deals.
How much is too much?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's current and you're keeping up with it and they're pretty prolific that there is too much, you know, because that's just kind of a show
That's
support.
why people post, right?
Right.
Because they
but-
want the likes.
Yeah, but I will tell you now, to a user, you know, like if you and I just met yesterday and then all of a sudden we became friends and then I noticed that like at, you know, midnight, you're 3, 4, 5 years back in my archives still liking old pictures. Then that means, you know, at midnight, that means at midnight you're just scrolling through all my stuff. So, you know, so it's very telltale on when and how, you know, and how if the statute of limitations has run out as far as the posting. But I think if you're doing it currently and they're very active, I don't think it's too much.
Now, when is it too early to put a Valentine like on somebody's?
The heart?
Yeah, and is it ever appropriate to put a Valentine like on another guy's post?
You know what? I've done that before, but I think it also depends on content.
Sensitive moments.
Yeah, or content. You know, like if if it's something sports and I know that it's a fellow fanatic about a certain team, then I'll heart it too. Like, oh, you know, we just got so and so in the draft.
Yeah, to keep the bromance alive.
Yeah, I'll heart that too. Yeah.
818. Hey, guess what? It's time for sports with Blake. And just for the record, it's I like your post and I'm obsessed with you. It's 8:18 in the morning and Blake Watson's here. And dude, I heard the Korea, Germany, FIFA Rumble before I saw it.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I was in Singapore, right?
Right.
Now, my hotel was right across a place called Chimes. And Chimes it's this quad of, I want to say trendy food places and bars, but there are some trendy places, and then there's a place I like to go to because they have just the wildest, best version of Tantan Ramen that you've ever had. You know it's Tantan Ramen, right? That's a spicy one?
Yes, my favorite.
They've got one there they call it the Volcano. And it's volcano ramen, and it's really, really good ramen noodles.
The volcano sauce.
And it comes in 4 stages. There's the spicy number 1, and it goes all the way up to spicy number 4. And the lady looked at me and she says, "You're white. You're not getting anything stronger than 3." So all right, fine. So I got some of that. But the other reason why I like them, and I wish we could get something like this going here, is they didn't necessarily have appetizers. You could get appetizers if you wanted to, but as a courtesy, when you sit down, they put 4 boiled eggs in front of you. And you can eat all 4 if you want to.
Are they the soy or just regular?
Just regular old boiled eggs, and you just sit there while you're waiting for your ramen to come out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 boiled eggs for you, and it's I personally think it was awesome.
You know, I went to a place in Japan, Osaka to be more exact, and they did the same thing. The appetizer, the chessa, if you will, was just a bowl of boiled eggs. And they weren't even the soy ones either. It was just a straight ramen
boiled
place.
Eggs, you open them up and you put some salt on them if you like.
Who needs a meal? You can get them and leave then. Right?
Well, that's I was close. I was close.
But you want the ramen. That's the thing. They keep you there
you
with
want
the ramen.
and before you. Yeah, it was that good. It was that good. Anyway, so in this complex, the Chimes, which is across the hotel I was staying at, they had set up a massive screen in the center, and kind of the breezeway of this, where they were playing the FIFA game, and then it came to what did I say? It was Korea and Germany.
South Korea, Germany. Wow. And they beat them. So Germany. Because
you could hear. I was late. I mean, I was trying to get some sleep because I got the trade show the next morning. I wasn't. I wasn't.
How was the time difference? Was it a little bit earlier? Because over here it seems to be middle of the night.
The same as they were coming in. It depends. I want to say that there were some games that were still getting played at 2:00, but this one was like 10:00, and then there was another one at midnight. I want to say this was the 10:00 game that I was played. And every time the Germans got really, really close. They were in kill zone most of the night. Right.
Yeah.
And every time they got really, really close, the crowd crowd would cheer, and it was a live cheer both on the television and in front of the big screen TV. So I didn't hardly get a lot of sleep that night because it was playing. And the next day, I went to the lobby bar in the hotel, and they were playing the entire game again.
Did you enjoy? Yeah, did you enjoy traveling during the World Cup? Because the last World Cup, I was actually in Rome, and that was when the U.S. and Italy were both a part of the tournament. Neither of them were in it this year, but then they were. I watched USA Ghana. At like 3 a.m. at the hostel bar. It was just and never mind the game. It was a fun atmosphere. And then I watched on the street, I think it was Uruguay, Italy or something. And I mean, it was just crowds of people into it.
The embarrassing thing for me was I was in a cab and the cab driver's trying to make small talk. He says, "What do you think of the games so far?" And I said, "What games?" He says, "Football." I said, "There's no football until late in the year." It's
Right.
And he said, "No, the FIFA games." And it was realized, okay, this is my American privilege talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that, and all I could remember was some of the upsets that you and I have talked about. So
Right.
it was a little bit different for me, a little challenging getting into the mindset because the people if you're not in America, FIFA's a big deal.
Yes. Oh, very big. And that's what I noticed when I went to Rome. I was like, oh, wow, like we do it okay.
People care about soccer.
And the hostel bar where, where U.S. was playing Ghana, it was mostly overrun with Americans because they were staying in the hostel. But and that was a decent scene, but it was still a little pub, down in the basement of the hostel. Now, when I watched a couple days later Italy take on Uruguay in the city street where they had a huge, screen erected and there were just blocks of people, that one was a much more lively, fun. I mean, every touch of the ball was everything was so pivotal. So it was just, you learn how the world does the World Cup, and they seem to do it a lot better than the Americans.
In tears over Germany not advancing, and never mind that Korea won. People were devastated because Germany lost. I mean, just people talking about it like it was a tragedy.
Right, and we talked about it last year because they sent the defending champions was Germany. They got sent home by South Korea with that loss, and the Mexicans who advanced because they lost to Sweden, but they needed Germany to lose, which happened. They went to the South Korean embassy in Mexico and were partying with the ambassador and taking shots with him. And then Aero Mexico offered 20% flights off. 20% off her flights from Mexico City to South Korea, and they deemed them hermanos. Mexico and the South Koreans are officially goodwill brothers per the Mexicans.
All right, so we're finally at a point where you can look at the brackets now and see where they're headed. So we've got Uruguay playing France in the semifinals,
right?
And then we've got Brazil versus Mexico, Belgium and Japan, and the winners of those. The Belgium and Japan game is not going to take place until like 4:00 in the morning. So you got Brazil and Mexico versus the winners of the Belgium and Japan game, and those guys will go on to face the Uruguay and France and in the other semifinals. We've got Russia and Croatia already set and waiting for the outcome of the Sweden v Switzerland and Colombia and England game.
And the Mexico game, I know for sure, is an elimination game for Mexico. If they lose, their I guess hopes are dashed. And it's also worth noting we lost two great legends currently. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo both bounced on the same day, two of the world's biggest football stars. Argentina loses to France, like you mentioned, France advancing and playing again. They lost 3-4, did the Argentinians. By the way, I'm gonna butcher this name, but Kylian Mbappe, he is the second teenager behind the great Pele to score a goal in a World Cup match. It has not been done.
That's cool.
Yes, he is the second teenager since 1958 when Pele did it in the Brazil-Sweden final. So,
and for those of you that don't know, Pele in any other country except the United States is a household name.
Yes.
That's a very famous player.
He's like the Bruce Lee of soccer.
And he was hot around the same time.
Right, around the same time.
Was hot. So 8:25 in the morning, a couple of other things. And I got a note from somebody was talking about not being able to hear the show in her bedroom because she doesn't have a radio in the bedroom. And I said, that's, you know what, that's exactly right. The bedroom is for sleeping and other thing, but not for entertainment. I recommend in the living room, in the kitchen, other places. Certainly the car is a good place. So take all of the electronics out. You know, my personal thing is the only thing that I have in the bedroom is my charger. for the phone. Don't necessarily look at the phone.
I have the charger, and then I have a TV, but that's just in case, like baby needs to go in there to go to sleep, because it's just basic cable, that TV, and it never gets turned on. It's even an old, I say old, it's still a panel TV, but it's
cable-ready remote control?
Yeah, cable-ready remote control, but it very, very, very seldomly gets used. So, it is there, but it's never on.
Yeah, so it's not for watching in the room. And then she said the only other thing she's got in there is like an iPad.
Okay.
Which brings me to this question.
I guess you can read on the iPad.
What's the early numbers? How old should your kid be before we give the kid a tablet?
Mine has one, and she's had.
Wait a second. How old is yours?
She'll be 2, July 29th.
And she's got a pad already?
She's had it for a year. And she knows, she knows. She comes home from daycare, it's just iPad, milk, iPad.
Yeah.
So she knows. Yeah, but she is
heroin.
Heroin? She is starved all day. And but I will tell you this though, it blows my mind. She'll be 2 July 29th, and it's been about 3-4 months since she's been able to, she watches YouTube Kids. We only put it on YouTube Kids, and she can't navigate it from it. But she knows how pressure point. She knows how to lightly touch the screen so that it brings up the little bottom scroll.
Smart.
And then she scrolls through it. And she can't read, but I think she goes on pictures after what as to what she wants to watch. So
that's what I do.
Surveys has naturally it's up to each child's parents. Age 2 seems real young, but a survey has found that 1 in 4 kids under the age of 2 has their own tablet device.
Now mine, it's
25%. So your kid is one of the 25% that has got their own, right?
Yeah, and it's been that way since travel. I think because we took her to Japan when she was 4 months old. And that's when it started. It started when we were in the Airbnb, and we were just kind of had some downtime. We were trying to put her to sleep, so we put on lullabies, and it really wasn't anything visual. It was just more sound.
Yeah.
And from there, it just has kind of morphed into the same rotation of 3 nursery rhymes over and over and over.
More than a third of 3 to 5-year-olds have their own tablet, and if you want to see them, they're in any restaurant that you go to, where the mom and dad are trying to wolf down some dinner, and they don't want to get interrupted by anybody, not even the kid. So they got the little kid, and he's got the little the iPad holder gizmo, and they're sitting there, and they never have headphones. Can I just say, as a restaurant patron, invest in a high quality pair of headphones for your children.
They won't wear them.
I don't need this noise that comes out of these little iPads.
Daddy finger, where
I can handle that. It's just that there's games. There was a guy on the seat in front of me on one of the red eyes that I was taking, and so here I am. It's a red eye. I'm fighting to get to sleep on the airplane. I'm not good at sleeping on an airplane unless I'm spoiled and I'm in first class, which hardly ever happens, right?
Or the free drinks are just flowing.
Again,
It's
hardly
easier,
ever
and even
happens.
then it's not sleeping. You're just passed out.
Can I just say how attractive the flight attendants are in Philippine Air? Okay, I just needed to get that out. But
I like their accents.
One of them called me guapo, and I looked back at her and I said, salamat po, and she had that look like, oh God, you understood what I said. Holy smokes. Okay, I want to sit in her section. This is going to be a fun trip. But anyway, so this guy is in front of me, and he's playing on his phone a game, and he didn't have the headphones on.
Oh.
So I had to become assertive, Ray. And tap him on the hey, Chico, how about put on a pair of headphones so I don't have to hear your game?
Did
he? Yeah, I did.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I did,
nice.
because he was sitting near the exit door, and I know how to open those things.
Oh yeah,
it's good to have a little bit of assertiveness to back you up on the flight.
Travel on trips, yes, but as far as the everyday travel, domestic travel here, to and from stores or to and from restaurants or whatever, we leave the iPad at home. We only take it on the airplane, and when we are on the airplane, that's when she's unlimited, just because it's a good deterrent, because we try to limit it her.
Yeah, because otherwise they'll be crying.
Right.
2 years old.
2 years.
Man, when my kids were 2, they were lucky to get a biscuit.
I was the same.
I remember getting on airplanes and playing tic-tac-toe with the person sitting. I remember getting on airplanes and having conversations with the people that were in the same row.
Or getting on a pad and playing hangman.
I still have a travel. It's at my desk right now. I have a travel collection of Where's Waldo. They condensed it into a travel size,
nice.
and because they have because they used used to come out in the big hardback books. So maybe, actually, when I moved to Guam, a couple of friends of mine gave me a going away present for the plane, and they compiled all of the Where's Waldo pages into one travel-sized book.
Nice.
And so I have that for travel. I got a Where's Waldo travel.
See, I'd like to be critical of that, but I want it.
Right. It's
I want that. All right, a couple of things here. Brad writing in Guam 2-0 in the senior division, playing in the Little League regional tournament in the Philippines. Majors division is delayed in Korea because of the upcoming storm in that area. Nice senior division 2-0. Good for you, Guam.
They beat India 23-0. Did Guam Little League, which is a big deal because that's India. They got billions.
Yeah.
And we beat them 23-0. So that was
Well,
that's
didn't
very
we beat
cool.
India in a soccer match a couple of years ago?
6-0.
Yeah, India's much more.
They suck.
They're much more. Yeah, they're into
To
cricket.
have a billion people.
Well, but they're into cricket. They're into
That's
English
true.
sports. So,
That's true.
So they don't. They're just really starting to get off into this baseball thing.
Now, I noticed that we're whittling down to the last few games for the Major League Baseball. The Rays 7-0, Orioles 7-1. They are in the playoffs. Number 2 spot still up for grabs. Numerically, the Rooks and the Junior Nationals are out of the playoff picture, but everybody else is still in the hunt for the last 2 spots. Every game counts, according to Mark Colby.
Yes, I got the same exact thing. And the Rays, every time that comes across, now I think of you as they're 7-0, and I've already, them and the Orioles, I know you said that, but
I'm going to petition to have their logo changed to a picture of his face.
We should.
Yeah.
There's no reason why
It's
we
gonna be right
can't.
there on the
It's
front.
not. It's not.
The
this
one
is
of him
not
doing
hard
with the
Yeah,
face.
it's going to be the same one, the little thumbs.
Yeah, with the thumbs at the thumbs
It's
in
a
the
very
suit.
easy face to replicate in uniforms. I'm just saying.
This always baffles me, and I know Brad is listening. So all you baseball fans and Brad and Mark, this blows my mind, and I want you to both hear this because you talk about sweet deals of all-time deals. July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day, for those who don't know. And let me break this down for you really, really quickly. Bobby Bonilla is the luckiest baseball player of all time.
Bobby Bonilla is one of 20 Democrats that have filed for their paperwork to run for senator.
Bobby Bonilla, former Met great, amongst others. He was a baseball player late 80s, all through the 90s, and I believe retired in 2001. But every July 4th, baseball fans celebrate, Ray, Bobby Bonilla Day, when the retired baseball player receives $1.19 million in deferred pay from the Mets. Now, this is how this broke down. You want to talk about sweet deals. In 2000, in the new millennium Y2K, the Mets bought out Bobby Bonilla's contract for $5.9 million. Instead of cash, they agreed to 8% interest with payments beginning in 2011 through 2035. Every July 1st, Bobby Bonilla gets his check, $1.2 million every year. Adds up to $29 million when all's said and done. He hasn't played a game since 2001.
But he won the lottery.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
every year on July 1st, $1.2 million deposited into Bobby Bonilla's account until the year 2035. It will amount to $29 million when it's all through, and he has not, like I said, set foot on a diamond since 2001.
So a question from Jonathan Bullwinkle on the Little League World Series. Brad, is that one of the first steps before the Little League World Series? I'd like to see them make it there again. And Brad writes, Jonathan, winner of this regional advances to the international bracket of the World Series in each division. Guam Senior Division has a great shot to advance to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, is, and then from there they go to Pennsylvania, right? Is that right? Or,
No,
I don't know. Or is
I'm-
that where that Little League World Series is?
I'm just looking for an excuse to say Pretty Ashley's online again.
Okay. Hey, Pretty Ashley.
8:34.
Second, real quick. Second game, CNMI is who Guam beat in the second game. They beat India 23-0 to go 1-0, and then they turned around and they beat the CNMI team 10-3, and that gave them their 2-0 record.
Gotcha. I think we've spent enough time pretending to talk about sports.
Yep.
All right, get back to your morning show over on Star 101. I'll talk to you later. That's Blake Watson. I'm Ray Gibson. Kevin Kerrigan next.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Yeah, normally I'd be telling you a little bit about traffic. It looks like I got a little bit of a slowdown headed from the Home Depot side up towards Route 10A and the arrivals departure section of the Guam International Airport, but it doesn't look like there's anything else that's going to be causing you any slowdown. We've got time for headlines now at 8:35. This newscast brought to you by Furniture Kathy Style. From the Guam Daily Post, here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, a 37-year-old cargo screener has admitted to stealing more than $16,000 worth of goods from inbound flights carrying mail intended for delivery here on Guam. According to a plea agreement unsealed Friday in district court, Tomas Joaquin Santos Atoigui pleaded guilty to mail theft. Faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. Atoigui was a cargo screener for the Unlimited Services Group at the United Air Cargo Terminal for approximately a year. During that time, he admitted to stealing TV sets, computers, and watches, according to court documents. United Airlines has announced a new twice-weekly service between Saipan and Guam beginning August 2nd. United will deploy a Boeing 737-700. The service scheduled to depart Guam on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11:30 p.m. and arrive in Saipan at 12:15 a.m. The return flight departs Saipan on Wednesdays and Fridays at 4:55 a.m. and arrives here on Guam at 5:40 a.m. United Director for Asia Pacific Operations, Sam Shinohara, says that since the start of the daily jet service between Guam and Saipan on June 1st, they've seen strong demand between the islands. The new twice-weekly service will enable Saipan customers to make a same-day connection to Honolulu and Japan with just one stop here on Guam. Another $2 million in tax refunds going out in the mail today. 531 checks were printed on Friday. They're going out to taxpayers today who filed error-free returns through February 8th. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
And Furniture Kathy Style brings you the newscast. Guam's newest furniture store is now open with a fabulous selection of furniture, hot deals every day. The stylish and comfortable Domino reclining sofa and love seat, both of them. And it reclines, $999. Style you can afford it. Furniture Kathy Style, located in Hagetnya. It's 8:37, and that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk and mobile plans.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. It's summer, and KFC has something extra special to spice it up with KFC's new Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yup, we kicked up our Pika chicken a notch with Sriracha. It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your summer with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
What happened? What am I supposed to tell you? That my friends over at American President Lines bring you portions of the Ray Gibson Show? It's true. It's a true fact, ladies and gentlemen. APL is shipping the future.
Offering state-of-the-art MRI, full-field digital mammograms, full digital X-rays, and 4D ultrasounds. FHP Health Center provides comprehensive diagnostic medical imaging with the convenience and access our patients deserve. Our highly specialized board-certified radiologist ensures high-quality, patient-focused care with every visit. Call the FHP Health Center at 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule your appointment today. Most insurance is accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
No, there's no traffic. I'm looking at it right now. It might have a line of traffic coming up from the Toyona Bridge down in the Talanpago area, Pago Bay, and up towards the intersection between 4 and 10. But it's just a lot of cars. It's not slowing anything down. Another line of traffic out by Talanteleforo, the intersection actually that takes you into the ORDOT dump. You might see a little bit more traffic moving in from the Agana area and that one Linker Road between behind where Pokey Fries is. You might see a little bit of action through there. Doesn't look like there's anything major here that I'm looking at. Just coming out of Estumbo, be aware the traffic is slowing down at the intersection of Estumbo and Route 3, but it looks like it clears up before you get to the actual intersection. 20 away from the top of the hour. That's Right Now traffic here on The Point.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Got a note here. We're talking sports. My buddy Tony Lujan writes in, Guam boys, my son Chris and his friends show the world how to fish. They're at the World Championship in Baja, the Baja, California competition. And he's got a picture here of Chris and the boys. And they're holding on to massive-sized fishes. Looking at it going, I'm glad they caught those because they're also Guam boys. They're going to know how to sashimi that one right there on the boat without actually having to go any place and doing anything else. 8:41 in the morning. This is the Ray Gibson Show. Welcome to it. If you just tuned in and you're wondering, well, what did I miss, Gib? Was there any earth-shattering in the program this morning? Okay. This is what today is going to be like. Oh, these guys have got the coolest hats. I'm sorry, distracted. Got the shiny. Not only they holding onto these very, very large fish that they're going to eat after they're weighed and they're totaled up for the judges. They're also wearing the hats from Shut Up and Fish. Have you been watching them on YouTube? It's some very interesting posts that they make of guys that are obviously going out there and doing some degree of shutting up and fishing here on Guam. I was never a good fisherman. My job, and I'd go out there with my brother and my stepdad every once in a while, and my job was to sit on the cooler. Now, that's a vital position, and I'll tell you why. Because the top of the lid of the cooler wouldn't stay. And it would bounce around, and the wind would blow, and it'd go and fall in the ocean. So I had to sit on the cooler to make sure that never happened. That was my job. And if by some miracle a fish actually bit on the hook, on the bait on the hook, I was not to go anywhere near the reel. And I did it once. And I tried to, get the thing to stop, and then I was going to reel it in. But I touched something wrong. And we came up with with one of those tangles on it where, frankly, it was easier to throw the rod and reel into the ocean and buy a new one rather than try to untangle that. So they said, never touch that again. Just sit on the cooler and make sure that the lid doesn't blow away. And I was very happy with that job. So it's exciting for me to be able to watch these guys do this and recognize that they're wearing the hats that say shut up and fish. I think that's very, very cool. 8:43 in the morning. What was I going to tell you? But there was before I got distracted by the shiny. Earlier in the program, a conversation with Senator Tom Adda. And Senator Tom Adda and I were talking about a piece of legislation that they're going to be chewing on at the legislature in about, 20 minutes. Or not. And this is here comes the part where Senator Adda made the prediction. They're going to gavel into session. And then they are going to gavel themselves into the Committee on the Whole. And the reason why they need to go into the Committee on the Whole is so that they can entertain new testimony and new numbers from the Fiscal Rapid Response Team. And this is vital. Yes, if you like. Yeah. And the guys are going to come in and say, holy smokes, you're not going to believe how bad we think it's going to be in 2019. Yeah, you remember how the budget numbers looked like hell for 2018, and there was a fiscal crisis, and Eddie Calvo came down and was lurking over at the legislature, and it was a nightmare for the administration until they got their, until they got their hands on a budget increase based on an increase in the business privilege tax. So they're going to come back at 9 o'clock. They're going to gavel themselves into a Committee on the Whole, and they're going to bring in the new guy, Byrne, and Lester, and maybe Vince, and maybe a couple of other people. We'll see if we can find another couple of people just to fill out the head table in the front and answer some questions about just how awful it's going to be in 2019. And they're going to say, well, the numbers don't look good. And here's what we have to do. we're going to have to bite the bullet and ask the taxpayers to support the government of Guam even more. I'm not crazy about that idea for reasons that we've been talking about virtually all morning. And there's a couple of different lines that you might be able to think of as we ponder how this is going to take place over at in the government of Guam. One of them, in my mind, is if we know that the budget number is going to be off by $160 million. What were the figures before? I mean, we've had budgets lower, substantially lower than what they're predicting for 2019. So here's my question. Why don't we just go and take a look at those budgets? How did we make do 2 or 3 years ago when our budgets were lighter by $200 million? We're talking about the revenue estimates for this year was almost $1 billion, right? So what would prevent us from going back in time and seeing how we made do when we were only making, say, $600 million?
Well, if
$650 million.
Yeah, and you'd have to roll everything back. So that means all of the extra personnel that have been hired since then, roll them back. You got to lay them off. And so, you could roll everything back and get back to that point.
That's what I've been saying. And we could have done that in February, but we didn't. So we're back in a place, unfortunately, where I get to do this for hours and hours a day, is to talk about just how lousy it is and how it doesn't matter how bad it gets over at the legislature, they are still not going to realign, reorganize, do all of that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to solve all of our problems. I mean, you look at the number of months that we have between here and the beginning of the next fiscal year. But man, if we'd have started this project, if we'd have started a solid reorganization path back in February, back in March, when they were still talking about the increase in the BPT as an option, reorganization had always been an option. But just never got around to pursuing it because they said, well, we'll do this increase in the BPT. That's what we're going to do. And then we're going to come back in the first part of the new fiscal year and insist on another increase with a 2% increase in the establishment of a 2% visible sales tax. So essentially our tax rate is going to end up being 6%. Oh, that's groovy, isn't it? So, but the price of oil keeps going up. The price of gasoline is going to go up. Today, I was looking at West Texas crude, and I thought I was looking at the wrong numbers. Mm-hmm. West Texas crude is trading at $74.15.
Yeah, corned beef's not getting cheaper either.
No. But you can steal corned beef.
Well, clearly.
And I don't know what happens to you if you get caught stealing corned beef. But
same thing if you get caught,
dealing meth?
packing a bucket of meth.
$79.15 for Tapas. Tapas is the stuff that our gasoline is made from, and I haven't seen it up around $79.15 in a little bit, and I'm almost positive the last time I saw it in almost $80 a barrel range, we got nicked with an increase in the price of gasoline. It went down, but the price of the oil went down, but the price of the gasoline never did. Mm-hmm. So now that it's back up around $79.15, I got that sinking feeling that there could be curtains for us and another increase over at the pump. $74.15 for West Texas crude. And I bring that up in one of, I don't know, it's hard on Mondays because on Mondays I get 5 or 6 newspapers in front of me, so it's hard for me to go through all of the newspapers and point out exactly where it was. But the guys over at the Consolidated Commission on Utilities have said that they probably don't need to do an increase or talk about or justifying a LEAC increase until it gets to be around $77. Well, $74.15.
Yeah.
We're right there, and this is not. There is already significant demand for oil and oil products because it's summertime. People are driving. But the other thing is we're about to slap Iran with some sanctions, and it's going to make it harder for them to market oil on the global stage. That's going to increase the cost of Iranian oil. That, in turn, will increase the cost of other oils all around the OPEC countries. Yeah. So that's why the prices, if you look at it now, are probably going to be going up. So I suggest that you brace yourself. How would you brace yourself? Well, not being the government of Guam where we can just increase our taxes you might need to go out and find additional employment. And that one there, I think I can talk about that. Was this Mondays? Hold on a second. Let me see what we have for job openings here. I thought I saw a couple of interesting ones that might be fun to pursue. Not as much fun, unfortunately, as the club mates over at PIC. Drat.
By the way, I'm going to have to increase my wages to offset these fuel costs. I thought I'd let you know. You've got to pay. You have no choice.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work there, Kimosabe.
Well, it works pretty well for the government of Guam.
Yeah. But so the deal is, I'll pay you more by the hour, right? But I need to knock you back by a couple of hours.
By 6 hours.
So I'll give you that hourly raise. If that would make you
Not
feel
a problem.
good,
Yeah, not a
then
problem.
I'll be happy to bring you up to what is it, eight and a quarter an hour?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I'd knock you back down to $6 to 6 hours a day instead of 8. That's how it's done in the private sector. All right. So under jobs, we have the carpenters and cement masons. And I have absolutely zero skills in carpentry and cement.
Yeah.
I had a neighbor. This guy could take 2 sticks and turn it into a couch. He just had the knowing on how to do this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend who offered to make a guy some shoes out of concrete if he didn't pay him back $100. But
if he didn't get a raise.
That's as far as I can go.
Medical assistant needed. Attention to detail a must. Computer tech savvy and previous experience in the medical setting preferred. Go to the Wing Guam or thewinguam.com and see what they've got to say. And a medical biller and accounting AR at HHCare. .co if you're interested in any of that stuff.
They need a platoon of those at GMA.
Well, have you seen the editorial from Vince Akimoto? And I screwed up. I let Kevin go without yakking about this. But is it me or does it look like it's getting worse and worse and worse for Guam Memorial Hospital? They got nicked by JCO a couple of months ago, and then the CMS guys came in. And I was under the impression that, we're not going to worry too much about the CMS. They look at different things than the JCO guys that look, the Joint Commission guys. So I think we're going to be okay with the CMS guys. And it looks like the CMS guys have got them nicked even more. Yeah. So it was that. And then I guess in May or so, when we start talking about Guam Memorial Hospital, the majority of the time that we have those conversations, it's about the hospital, right? Yeah. But in this case, now they're talking about the skilled nursing units having some issues up there. And I'm wondering which of these places, which of these spaces are free from, I don't know, is it management incompetence? Are these financial issues? And we're looking to find Dennis Rodriguez this morning on a couple of issues, one of them having to do with the unveiling of his platform. And most of it, I've looked at some of this. And what are you going to say? What is it he wants to do? Restructuring of all government functions. Okay, I'm just talking about how I want to do that. Austerity and prioritization, reform fiscal policy, catching up to the age of information, retiring the public debt, and public-private partnerships. I like all of them.
Yeah, it sounds all great.
That's good ideas.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Now what's he really going to do?
But the other thing that I wanted to talk to him about was the investigation over at the legislature on all of these things that are going on at Guam Memorial Hospital and what the steps are going to be to kind of sort of correct that. But the problem is the legislature can only do so much because they're only the legislature. Peter John Camacho doesn't work for the legislature. And Benita Manzanita doesn't work for the legislature. She works for the governor's office. So until somebody over at the governor's office says, we are starting to agree with you, having seen all of these reports from the Joint Commission and the CMS, now that they're talking about the skilled nursing unit and the investigative findings of the legislature, maybe there ought to be some changes being made over at Guam Memorial Hospital. So far, they haven't. Their response to all of this is, what did I say it was going to be? Petty. What did Carl Gutierrez call it? Petty, cheap politics.
Yeah, something like that. Well, that's what it always is.
It's just cheap politics. Staging. Vince Akimoto disagrees. And as I said, in one of the newspapers that I was looking at this morning, you might see an editorial from him. But the fun editorial, love this guy, Phil Cruz. I don't know who Phil is. It says Phil is a resident of Jigo. Is this the Phil that I know up there? Anyway, I'm not running for public office, but if I was, don't vote for me because I will. And then he lines up some great concepts here. I will cap the annual salaries of political appointees at $65,000. These unclassified hires come with strings attached, and some earn over $120,000 to see, hear, or speak no evil of the administration. Stoutly enforce GovGuam's drug-free workplace program and zero-tolerance drug policy. Those in violation will be terminated. Oh, dude, you got to get past the Civil Service Commission on some of this stuff. That's sometimes the problem. We had a guy who was brought up on charges, and he told the judge a story that made her tear.
Oh, wow.
She teared after hearing that he was not in good health. He was a sole caregiver for somebody else in the family who had no alternative but to turn to a life of crime. And they said, oh, okay, you made me tear, so I'm going to let you go. This is a drug dealer, for God's sake. What are we talking about? So, and there's another story here that is underscoring in a big way why we need to, I should have brought it with me. There's a form that you fill out on the airplane just before you land in Singapore.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And on the back of the form is in red letters, so not to be missed, is that the penalty for importing drugs into Singapore is death.
Yeah.
That's the symptom of this illness. You die. That's what happens when they catch you. And here we are. We got folks, what are they doing? They're running around and selling drugs to people.
Yeah.
And they get the proverbial slap on the wrist if they can make the judge tear a little bit.
Now, I got news for you, too. Singapore doesn't care what country you're from.
Man, that's a clean town.
Yeah.
Establish a whistleblower incentive program that authorizes $3,000 cash reward to anybody reporting government fraud, waste, and abuse that results with a conviction of and an arrest of the perpetrator. Seek monetary restitution and imprisonment of business owners harboring illegal immigrants and then subjecting them to inadequate lodging, labor non-payment, and demeaning treatment. You know, you'd hope we'd have gotten past that in the 70s and the 80s, but I guess there's still guys out there that are looking the other way. And unfortunately, the people that should be watching out for that in the government seem to be looking the other way as well. Impose a 6-month suspension on business owners participating in product price gouging during times of crisis and fraudulent food stamp and or WIC purchases, exchanges, and transactions. Let's do jail. What's wrong with jail? Taxpayers fund all of those things. And when you got people that are doing it wrong, then guess what? They're basically stealing from the taxpayers. And I know what you're going to say. Well, it's federal programs. It doesn't matter. I mean, somebody's paying for it, and somebody ought to be held accountable when public health finds these guys. Abolish GovGuam's practice of empowering its departments, line, and autonomous agencies to administer internal investigations on their own personnel. Real justice won't be served when GPD investigates cops, DOC investigates guards, and GMH investigates doctors, etc. Although based on conversations I've had with Peter John, it sounds more to me like the doctors and their little hooey over at the legislature supersede even the management of Guam Memorial Hospital. You remember that interview where Peter John basically threw him under the bus? That was fun. And create a government intimidation law which authorizes a 5% deduction in the salary for government officials earning more than $85,000 and above each time they notify their employees of possible payless paydays, layoffs, rifts, etc., due to funding, and then miraculously on the 11th hour they find the money. Phil Cruz of GIGO, that's why the people won't vote for you. Well, certainly not the people in the government of Guam. I think you might get a lot of support from everybody else that's tired of watching the parade of dollars leave their pockets. Hey, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We're really, really close to it. The radio station is KUSG. Hug you. Plenty more to come. I'm going to see if I can turn on the legislative channel and see if they've already gavelled in the guys from the Fiscal Rapid Response Team over at the governor's office so that we can dog and pony our way into, are you ready for it? Now, get ready for a 6% sales tax on every purchase that we're going to make here. Stand by for Fox News Live.
Narrowing it down. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump saying he's whittled down his list of Supreme Court candidates to about 5, including 2 women, and will know the pick in a few days.
Many expect a significant conservative shift with this selection. White House Judicial Advisor Leonard Leo says the focus will not be on overturning Roe v. Wade, as the president's critics say.
It's about having judges on the court who are going to interpret the Constitution the way it's written.
Illinois Democrat Senator Dick Durbin disagrees, saying not only is upsetting this ruling top of mind for the White House, but also finding a nominee
who will make sure that they rule that the Affordable Care Act's protection of those with pre-existing conditions is unconstitutional.
Both men on Fox News Sunday. The president says he will reveal his pick July 9th.
Fox's Gernal Scott. The president also saying he will probably not ask potential nominees their position on overturning Roe v. Wade. Denuclearization sooner than later? The White House saying the U.S. has a plan that would lead to dismantling North Korea's nuclear weapons and missile programs within a year.
We are using the full range of our capabilities to understand what North Korea is doing. It doesn't profit the possibility of eliminating North Korea's nuclear weapons to talk on a day-to-day basis. They're doing this, they're not doing this, they're doing the other thing. There's nobody involved in this discussion with North Korea in the administration who is overburdened by naivete.
National Security Advisor John Bolton also on Fox News Sunday. Hot enough for you?
We wait all winter for this heat, and I'm not about to let it go.
Temperatures hovering close to triple digits in portions of the eastern U.S. More of the same in store tomorrow. A fire in Northern California forcing residents from their homes, the blaze burning at least 34 square miles since yesterday. A separate fire jumping containment lines after charring 22 square miles. That fire was more than 70% contained. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
The employees of Morrico Equipment on Guam have something very special all to themselves every morning they go to work, and that is pride. They have pride in the Morrico Equipment logo, and they have pride in wearing the Morrico Equipment uniform. They have pride in driving each Morrico Equipment service truck and in operating the Morrico Equipment lowboy heavy haul tractor. Morrico Equipment employees have pride in their company because they own the company. Morrico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. If you would like to join the Morrico Equipment ESOP team, please apply via morricoequipment.com.
Some Democratic candidates taking a bold stand on immigration enforcement, demanding ICE be shut down.
We have seen hundreds and hundreds of protesters file through this exact spot, protesting outside of the gates here. Many of them have donned shirts that say abolish ICE, and a lot of the signage had similar slogans. But then I've also spoken to some down here who say while they do disagree 100% with zero tolerance and the White House's overall approach to immigration, they also acknowledge eliminating the agency altogether is not the solution.
Fox's Casey Stiegel near the border in Tornillo, Texas. Polls open for a few more hours in Mexico's presidential election. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador is the frontrunner.
Some, like U.S.-Mexico Business Council President Oscar Braun, call Lopez Obrador a big risk.
We saw what happened in Venezuela, for example, and in other countries with populist policies that can, destroy an economy. Many people compare him with Chavez and Maduro.
Lopez Obrador has said he will support staying in NAFTA, though, and the man he says will be his finance minister says Lopez Obrador is not leftist, but center-left.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. They may be extinct, but dinosaurs are very much alive at the box office.
Hanging tough at number 1, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Coming in at number 2, Incredibles 2. New entries this week at number 3 and 4, respectively.
You want to see this thing through? I'm going to have to get dirty.
Dirty is exactly why you're here.
Sicario, Day of the Soldado in 3rd place. Meanwhile, the number 4 spot went to...
You lost our superstar to another coach.
What's that smell? Is that a grudge?
The sport comedy Uncle Drew, based on the Pepsi commercial starring NBA icon Kyrie Irving. Finalizing the top 5 flicks this weekend after 4 weeks, Ocean's 8.
Fox's Mike Piazza, and I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Mark Beneventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumamo. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Hey, it's Monday, and there is no time like the present to start making decisions about your future. Am I talking about retirement, your kids' education, 401k? No, I'm talking about lunch. Today at King's, it's Salisbury steak. They know that you like that. They know that's your preference on a Monday, and so that's what they've fixed up and stuck on the menu for you. If you're not a Salisbury steak person, maybe you want something different. Maybe you want a breakfast item. Maybe you want a late-night item. Check it out at King's. They've got the Pick 2 or Pick 3 combos. That's what's happening for lunch at King's.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Portions of the program brought to you by APL. That's short for American President Lines. They're shipping the future.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
I was just examining the names of some of my favorite people, and you'll know if you're on the list. All you need to do is go to Facebook Live, and actually it's the Point's website. The Point.gu is our residence on the web. It's also our residence address on Facebook, and the next submission down the list is our link to the live show. And you know what? I was showing this. I was showing off what we're doing here. There's a bunch of radio guys that I hung out with in Singapore because it was a broadcast trade show. And so I'm hanging out with these guys, and they said, "What are you up to on Guam?" I said, "Well, it's usual stuff, AM, FM radio, it's talk radio, because it's an election year. There's a lot of issues out there." And they said, "Well, what are you doing that's different, that's interesting?" And I said, "Well, I'm so glad that where are you going?" So I'm glad you asked. And I showed them the YouTube of what we do here every day. And because it was already too late to put Bob Klitsky on. But I showed them the YouTube of what we do every day. And they were just blown away. I said, "Dude, so you do this on Facebook Live?" I said, "Yeah." And then there's people that on Facebook, they can talk back to you. And I said, "Yeah, they can talk to each other if they want." Yeah, every once in a while, Brad will get into a knockdown drag-out with somebody over politics while I'm talking about something else on the radio, and that's fun for me. Now, so they thought that was a pretty cool innovation. I didn't tell them all of the secrets and all the fun things that we do around here, but they did want to know about, as I said, that particular innovation. And you can be a part of it. Like I said, just go on Facebook, go to thepoint.gu, and you should be able to click in with absolutely no problem. Brad, talking about some polls that have been conducted. I got a note from the Gutierrez camp, and they were all excited because there was a poll that was taken, and according to this poll, do I have the final numbers? Stand by. Hold up. I do. It's somewhere in my junks pile. Is that? No, it's this one. This is the Monday. Hold on. I'll find it for you. And anyways, the people over at the Gutierrez camp are really excited because according to this poll that was conducted among, 6,800 souls here on Guam, and you got to believe that they were all individual votes. It's
6,800.
Yeah.
That's like half the island, yeah?
That's huge. Who among the Democratic gubernatorial candidates would you vote for? And so I'll tell you that even though we're all friends together in the media game, right? And people go, why do they? There's always, if you go online, PNC will do it, and we'll do it, and the Post will do it, and PDN will do it. And it seems like every other day somebody is asking that question. Who among the Democratic gubernatorial candidates would you vote for? Yeah. Now, do you know why we asked that question?
Because we're bored?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. That's
do we
what
really want to know?
That's what we call clickbait in the business. So anytime that you've got a poll that has got the potential to get everybody on the Democratic side, click, 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 click. You click enough, you start a fire.
But they're the only ones that are going to be clicking it all in that particular question.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Well,
one Republican.
No. Tinfoil hat time. Are you ready?
Oh, you know I'm always ready for the tinfoil hat.
Always ready for the tinfoil. All right, tinfoil hat time. So this is why we do this. This is the only reason why we set up things like this, so that we can play the sound effect. Go. We got to edit this so it gets to the heavy part faster.
I wish I could just make it fast forward. I don't have that button.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the tinfoil hat time. Of the 6,845 votes, we'll assume that a healthy number were supporters of Frank Uggin's camp, former Governor Gutierrez's camp, Lulian Guerrero's camp, or Senator Rodriguez's camp. We'll assume that a good percentage of the 6,845 people that went and voted on this are actually from those camps.
You know what they say about assume.
So here's the fun part. If I was Ray Tenorio,
oh boy,
if I was in that camp, I would set it up and have my guys clicking on whoever they thought was the weakest candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Right? That's so you set them up, make them look good. Everybody's going to go to the polls and say, "Well, this one's a shoo-in for Gov." You know, he's a governor 2 times already. He's kind of been in government forever and ever, and helped write the first constitutional convention that we had on Guam, and so 37%, sure. But what if it was a gambit on the side of the Republicans? Maybe perhaps having some research that says that maybe Carl is not the strongest among them, but let's make everybody think that he is. Right?
Wait. We're talking about the campaign that can't even make sure that all the signatures on their documents are correct? And they're going to come up with something like that? I don't think they're that well organized.
Maybe I haven't thought it all the way through. I had the light bulb moment, and now it's past. Light bulb. But it could, right? Anyway, Brad says that's a rigged junk poll. I don't know.
They all are, except for ours.
I don't know anybody. I don't trust anything. I don't even trust the election when the numbers finally come out in the election. I've been one of those guys on the radio. I look at where I think people's sentiments are. Look at where I think all of the ruling parties seem to be headed, and what the stars all say, and then they'll come out with the final numbers on the election and the poll places and all the precincts and stuff, and go, that doesn't make any damn sense to me. None at all. What are you talking about?
That's not what my friends said.
But we saw the research that went in the other direction. So I don't trust research any further than I could spit a lizard, and mostly for those kinds of reasons. I'm one of those guys. I know just enough about statistics and research from having been in this business, so that unless I'm doing the poll, unless I'm personally doing it, unless I'm the guy that goes out there and intercepts 300 people with bulletproof questions and rotating answers and that kind of thing, and we do this on the phone, we do this in person, we do it on the web. Unless I'm the guy that's actually doing it, I don't trust the results of any polls, any survey work whatsoever. Anyway, 9:14 in the morning, and there's still plenty to do. I have not yet heard from the guys in the media business what the upshot is, and we weren't able to get a hold of him this morning. Is it possible that we might be able to find Frank Uggan now? Depending on whether they've gavelled in or out of the session over at the legislature. He was supposed to have, at 8:45 this morning, a press conference And this is cryptic. I can't read anything into this. Senator Frank Blasuggan Jr. holding a press conference to push for the public's involvement before placing people at risk for paying more under the current administration and the 34th Guam legislature. And I don't know what he has in mind. I don't know what he intends to do. There was a conversation about making a change to the Organic Act once upon a time, and providing that kind of rigid fence between the government's desire to spend more taxpayer dollars in new taxes or tax increases. But that didn't go anywhere. There is already a law, unless BJ has repealed it, and I think he set out some legislation that would. There is already laws on the books that say that in order for the government of Guam to institute new taxes, or the government of Guam to go out and get loans of a certain amount or plus, then it has to go to a referendum. They have to ask the people of Guam by way of a referendum in a general election what we think of all of these things. But they never do it.
But I thought that was already a law.
It is. It is.
But when
we use the words notwithstanding any other. Yeah. So that's the problem. That's the problem. And the legislature.
You can't put wording in legislation that allows you to cheat. Hello.
The legislature can.
That's what they did.
The legislature can do that,
and we let them.
We often have no choice. However, yeah. See, Frank's going. I can't talk right now. I'm actually in session. All right. So here's the thing. Do what my other friend did. Let me just. Can you hit me with the Cheers theme? This is where I was going before I got distracted for about the 18th time today.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. Glad you came. You wanna be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
And everybody knows everybody's name in the Facebook Live. I want to say good morning to Janae Uggan, who was out and about. Paris Mendiola Blas saying, welcome back, Ray. Paris, it's a delight to be back home and into the bosom of your listenership. That's very pleasant. Brad Hewitts was complaining before I set up. Apparently, I set up his Google Assistant.
Ah, okay. When you did, the OK Google.
Google.
Yeah. There it goes.
My phone's going, what now? What do you want? Leave me alone. What? You wanted me to play Tears for Fears and then you didn't listen to it. Stop it. Okay, Google.
Okay, Google, play Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues.
Wait. Wait, let's do this. Wait, I got to be careful. I got to make sure that my thing is turned all the way down on this. No, I want to indulge me this. Okay, Google, open up YouPorn.
Oh,
no, because I want to see if it opens. It's not open. Thank God it's not opening up anything on mine. I want to see if it opens up anybody else's. Might be among the stupidest things I've ever done. Let me know if it worked for you. Let me know if it opened up youporn.com.
But just think, 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. It's a new toy.
Technology. This is so much. No, I swear to God, I'm not looking at porn. It's the guy on the radio made it happen. Our voices are similar.
Can you imagine somebody's phone just opened up to a bunch of moaning
in church. Stop it. Jane Society, morning, welcome back. Nice to see you. Randy Kruger, layoffs. Yeah, that's going to happen. We have no confidence. My pal Bobby Shringy says, getting the popcorn ready for the theatrics. There's going to be theatrics. Look, this is the scary thing, though, Bobby. And if you want to call in, you can. 888-825. I'll probably give the phone number a little bit more often, right? 888-8255. 888-TALK is the phone number. It's not just the theatrics. It's not just the there will be kabuki today at the this is my prediction, and so far my predictions have been dead on.
Yeah, you've been doing
in everything that we've done. I told you last week that the legislature is going to keep the 5%. We're going to keep it at 5% and jettison the 2% visible tax. Yeah. And that's exactly what the legislation looks like right now. Mm-hmm. But the guys from the governor's office are going to come in, and they've got the doom and gloom paint. So they're gonna splash that up on the walls over at the legislature and bamboozle these guys again into bending to their will. And their will is going to be taking it to 6%. Tom Atta telegraphed that very thing this morning, and I have no reason to believe that it's not going to happen. I have no reason to believe that that won't happen. So get ready for it. Get the popcorn ready for the theatrics. Yes, I'm with you on that. But be prepared, Bobby, business people on Guam, to be vastly disappointed in what happens over at the legislature. And I tell you what, if it goes different, I'll eat a bug. It'll be a small bug, like an ant or something. Yeah, but I'll eat a bug.
I got a lot of ants.
I won't eat one of those rhinoceros beetles.
Oh, come on.
Or the larvae thereof.
Just fry it up, man. A little sugar.
What did I have that was good? I recently, I don't know, somebody came with a bag of these dried worms.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And with a barbecue flavor or Cajun spice or something like that. That was actually pretty good.
And they stay crunchy, even in milk.
They stay crunchy forever, apparently.
Yeah.
So I thought this is the way to go. I'll sprinkle this on my rice and be happy. You know, like the Filipinos, they got those little garlic things you put on the rice. Yeah. Looks the same. We can probably get them to taste the same. I'm sorry, I digress. This is just an amazing Monday, 9:21 in the morning. So that's where that's going to go. And then there's the investigation that I can't get Dennis Rodriguez to talk about. Frank, it's not his fault. I don't want to paint this as you know, like Dennis is ignoring me. Right? He's not. He's just busy.
He needs to clear his voicemail. Seriously.
Well,
as a matter of fact,
so get him on the phone. He's going to ask me why I'm always talking about his daughter on the radio.
There's 2 or 3 of them, actually, that need to clear their voicemail.
But anyway, so I want to talk to Dennis more about what they intend to do over at the legislature with this investigation over Guam Memorial Hospital. Because it's getting worse. We talked about this in the last hour because I was trying to kill time. But I'm not sure. This is a very scary time over at the hospital. Joint Commission accreditation. Yeah. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you can let that go. I'm all day long because that costs us in order to meet the Joint Commission requirements. That's actually something that costs us money. And whatever it is, whatever fees or dues you got to pay in order to have the Joint Commission come out here and tell us how to do our jobs 2 or 3 times a year, whatever the charge is for that. It's too much, and we can spend the money elsewhere.
Looks like we should get our money back.
But then they got the CMS thing, and the CMS guys came out and were looking at Guam Memorial Hospital in general and found 78 pages worth of issues that had to get dealt with. And Dennis Rodriguez, finally, through being able to convince them under subpoena and under threat of some kind of criminal activity, that they need to get that documentation to him, plus the recovery plan, plus their corrective action plan, that needed to be over at the legislature. So Peter John, based on some advice by Governor Eddie Calvo, says, okay, you've twisted my arm. Here's the docs that you're looking for. And then come to find out over the weekend, I guess there was another CMS report that came out that was critical of the skilled nursing unit. So that's spooky. But in addition to that, there is, and I don't know why they weren't talking about this in January, is they've got a problem with their electrical panel.
Yeah.
That is older than about 2/3 of the population here on Guam. It's been in place for a long time. They say it will take $6 million to repair. And it is in need of repair urgently, apparently. One of those things, my guess is that nobody looks at it sideways because they're worried that it might fail and they won't be able to get it back up. You and I have worked in radio stations where we had equipment like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's scary. They'd never restart that because if you intentionally power cycle it may not go back on.
Yeah, you hate when that happens in the middle of a record. Yeah, then you got a karaoke.
So just FYI, I don't have any of that equipment. Everything that you're listening to me on is all brand new stuff. But I've worked in places where the engineer was very specific. Do not power cycle that piece of gear because I can't guarantee it'll come back up.
I'm just concerned we're not going to have enough dilithium for these things.
Oh, sorry, I bought a new thing. I got to press a button in order to get...
gotta press a button.
I got to press a button. Well, press a button. It keeps it hot. It's
a child-proof coffee mug.
These, I didn't want to get one of these, but I lost the good one. Actually, I didn't lose it. I know exactly where it is. It's on a boat in Agate. But I got to get with Jackie and get the thing back. And I figured, what the heck? I was already in Manila, so I picked one of these things up. And it's nice. It's Stanley's cup. My name is not Stanley, but I've got his cup, and so it has coffee in it, and it keeps the coffee warm for a long, long time. But this is the thing. This is one of those deals that will just confound you. So they're talking at Guam Memorial Hospital about the perilous situation that their electrical panel is in.
Yeah.
And so we got to find some scratch and send a couple of guys down there and fix or replace their electrical panel. So what do they have an invitation for bid out on? It's a removal and replacement of a 1.6 meg generator unit. No, I like unit better.
It's better.
Yeah,
Got
I
a
like that
flair
word.
to it. Got a little Filipino flair to it.
In your generator unit. The removal and replacement of 1.6 megawatts of a generator unit. So here's the thinking that goes in my head. Why am I going to buy a new generator if there is every likelihood that my electrical panel is going to fail?
Yeah, as soon as the generator starts up, it'll send a surge into our crappy panel and...
Panel.
Yeah,
It's panel.
Panel, okay.
If we're gonna add syllables to the letter N. If we're going to send a spike into the electrical panel at Guam Memorial Hospital, and it won't make any difference whether we have 1.6 megawatts or 1.6 gigawatts of electricity coming out of the generator. It ain't going to the hospital room. It ain't gonna go to admin, and it's not going to go into the patient rooms. And I'm wondering how it is possible. The guys over at the legislature, they always ask about priorities. And this is another example of I'm not sure where your priorities are. Whatever money that we might have available for the removal and replacement of a generator unit, we should probably see if we can use as a down payment on the replacement of the electrical panel that we have at Guam Memorial Hospital. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Could be important.
How do we miss these kinds of things? And the answer is we don't miss them. I found it. I am an intrepid guy, and I look for these kinds of bizarre inconsistencies and try to point them out to you on an ongoing basis. Because frankly, it's amusing. But I guess the other.
That's why you stay so busy here. There are so many. Oh, man.
Like I never left. What the hell's going on by your place? Over by Shirley's. In between the Payless Supermart and Shirley's, looks like traffic headed towards Marine Corps Drive from the Payless into Mooning, passing by Mike's Mansion, which is the actual name for that apartment complex, is Mike's Mansion, and past the Onward Beach Resort and past Shirley's Coffee Shop. It says the traffic is slowing down there. Also slow once you get to the intersection and try to make your way out to Marine Corps Drive. Don't know what it is. If you know,
well, traffic's probably slowing as they genuflect as they pass my apartment.
As it should be.
Yeah.
As it should be. Make the sign of the cross and everything.
All that.
Yeah. I made friends with the taxi driver in Manila.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because we were driving. It was in between the Belmont and Mall of Asia, because I figured that was going to be how I killed time. Yeah. Because Air Force One wasn't open yet. Shut up. Yeah, the real guys know they never close.
That's right. Yeah. Go to Burgos Street.
Yeah. Anyway, so what was I saying? So the guy makes the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
In the car, I said, "Wait a second, I'm a Catholic. I missed it. What did we pass by?" And I can't remember whether it was a church or a cemetery or something. I think it was a cemetery. You couldn't really see it from the road, but the driver knew where it was. Sure, yeah. And so he made the sign of the cross. He said, "Hang on you, I need to make one too." "Are you Catholic, sir?" I said, "Yes, I'm from Guam. We're all Catholics on Guam, except the ones that aren't. And the ones that are mad at the church because the priest touched them on the place." Anyway, 9:28 in the morning. And just getting through some of this stuff before we get to what I like to refer to as the small talk portion of the program. That's going to be coming up in just a little bit. There were a couple of other things that I wanted to touch on, but I keep getting distracted. So I'm going to try to stay as focused as possible on where it is that I'm at. You're going to have to remind me, because we'd laid in a little bit on the judges, right, for letting the drug dealers go.
Yeah,
because they got a tear. Yeah, I got tear in my eye. because somebody came to me and they had to turn to a life of crime because they couldn't understand how to get a job that would help pay some of the bills that they've accrued. And now if I put them in jail, their little kids won't have anybody to watch them. And I'm sitting here on this side of the fence going, gee, it seems to me that maybe we should have thought about that before we got into a life of crime. But there's a story here that underscores just how bad we've let things get. Just how bad. And it's not the story of somebody busting into a house while there were still people living in there. Well, there's still people inside. It's not the story of guys that are getting busted for burglarizing cars and parking lots in the middle of the night. It's not that. It's the story of the mom that was allegedly on crystal meth while she was pregnant with a baby. Right? Yeah. And then here comes the baby, and she also allegedly abandoned the child. Right? And this is just, another one of these examples of just how awful this drug is, and how we really seem to be incapable of making a dent in its use around here. And until we figure that one out, until we get that sorted out, we're just going to continue to have some problems with it. It's a story that you can find in any of the newspapers, any of the big stories out there. And I really, really urge, if you were running for public office, you're going to hit all the right notes. You can put out a platform as basic as any of the platforms that we've all seen. Yes, we're going to modernize the government. We're going to right-size the government. We're going to eliminate the deficit. We're going to do this, that, and the other, and make all of these promises. But until we are able to get our heads around solving some of these issues that are in front of us, especially with drugs and crime, then it won't make any difference what else happens on the island. Because I think that, to a great degree, is the determining factor in whether or not we are all happy and comfortable living in this town we call Guam. It's 9:31 in the morning, and let's call that iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk and mobile plans.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
I'm told that 9 out of 10 millennial workers would take a pay cut to make sure they're working for a company that aligns with their values. I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, let's dig into this whole values thing.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
Now, that's a good thing. Yeah. Keep BPT 5%, next 2% sales tax charges. Yeah, I'm not crazy about all of that stuff. Jeff Marsh is still writing in the PNC over the weekend. Chairman on Taxation, Senator Joe San Augustine, has confirmed the following changes to pending repeal legislation aimed at nullifying a 2% sales tax before it takes effect on October 1st. Sunset provision on a temporary business privilege tax increase has been dropped. And the apparent rewrite of the pending repeal legislation maintains its chief objective to eliminate the new sales tax before it's triggered. Actually, if you'll recall, the idea was not just to get rid of the sales tax, but also to eliminate the increase in the business privilege taxes. The other big deal that we're going to be getting on, probably not immediately. This might happen later. We'll find out in a second. But we will, in a little bit of time, know who is officially going to be on your primary election ballots. And how many days do we have between now and then? We'll find out in a second as well. About 20 Democrats have filed their paperwork to run for political office as senators in the 34th Guam legislature. About 19 members of the Republican Party have filed their paperwork to run in the next election for the 35th Guam legislature, which unfortunately means that we got to spend the money on a primary election. Have you decided who you're going to vote for? Have you decided who's on this list that you like? I won't bore you with it, with reading the names. Like I said, I'm just going to read you the names of the people I'm going to vote for. How's that? Yeah, that'll shorten it up. See, the problem is if I did that, if I were to do something like that, there are a lot of people going to get mad because it'd probably be of the 39 people that have their names out here. Of the 39 people, I might be able to find 5 that I intend to give me to vote for, to provide a vote for. There's a couple of people on this list, and don't take this the wrong way. If you are an incumbent, God bless you. Thanks for your couple of years of service. But many of the incumbents, I will not be asking back for the 35th Guam legislature. And among the others that are running, there's some people that I don't know have a whole lot of business in the policymaking realm. I don't know. Maybe it's leapfrogging, if you will, from one pedal to another, trying to get better by yourself. But I'm looking for people that have got some stuff. And to the ones that have been in the legislature before, I see Tello's name is there, Adolfo Palacios, Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, people I love. You know, and I've had a great relationship with over the years playing radio with them. You know what, guys? You had your shot. You had your time at the legislature, and I'm thankful for your contributions to all of us here on Guam. A day hardly goes by where I don't genuflect and say how happy I am that you had your time in the legislature. But you had your time in the legislature. And frankly, it's time for other new people to come in and give us some ideas on what it is that we are going to do to move this town forward. And as I said, my ideas of moving this town forward have everything to do with doing something about crime. But that's just me. Maria Pangilinan from the Election Commission online. Good morning, Maria.
Half a day, Ray Gibson.
How you doing there? I'm not Bob Klitsky calling to give you a hard time about making sure that Yuka Hechinova and BJ Cruz can run.
Oh, that's okay. We're almost ready. We're almost ready for tonight.
I like the way that sounds. So tonight is, as I was talking about, I got 20 Democrats, 19 Republicans, and then gangs of 3 running for Attorney General and Congress and the Public Auditor.
That's correct.
Okay. So what do we have to do with them to officially get them on the ballot?
They have to be ratified by the commission, and so I will present the candidates based on the office they're vying for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will let them know that they've met the qualifications, and then they will be ratified so that they can be put on the ballot.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions floating around about bogus names and signatures and things like that. Has somebody from your office done the bona fides and the what's the word I'm looking for? The due diligence on the signatures for the senators?
Ray, what happens is we've gone through them, yes, and we've gone through them, especially we've gone through them to make sure that they are valid signatures in the candidate packets.
Yeah. So you've done the due diligence, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and so it's just a question of just what's the word? Almost administrative now, ministerial. To say whether or not they are candidates. Have you run into anybody? Have you seen any of these of the 39 just on the senatorial side? Have you seen any that were questionable?
No. As far as the packets go, no.
Did you want me to tell you which one of these guys I actually signed a petition for, and then after he wouldn't shut up, I went back and I asked for the petition back, and I took my name out?
No, I don't want to know that. You really took your name off?
Yes.
Oh.
Because the guy, we're sitting around, and the guy, he told me what his platform was, and I said, okay, well, that sounds fair, and then I put my signature on it, and then I went back to talking with my friend, and he came back and started bothering me again. And I'm like, dude, you already got my signature. He said, no, I want to talk to you some more. I said, I don't want to talk anymore. And he wouldn't let it go. And so I said, give me the petition back. And so he comes back with the petition. I took my name off of it. So I'll tell you offline. So if he scratched out the part that I scratched out, then I can say you got at least one bogus signature in there. Okay.
All right.
And so after that, after the commission will vote on it and say, okay, we agree with you. These are all certifiable, and we'll put them on the ballot, and that's going to be it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now what was the conversation that was going on, if you can tell me, about Senator B.J. Cruz and more importantly, Yuka Hechanova? She was not going to run because she was under the impression that she would have to quit her job over at the public auditor's office. And the commission said, no, that's okay. You can still run. What was the nature of the discussion that allowed for that?
With respect to the Guam Election Commission, it was whether it was a late filing.
Oh, I see.
Yes, that was the discussion with Yuka's packet. There is nothing in law that says that there is a specific deadline for candidate filing for special elections. So, administratively, too, it can be accommodated because we cannot start ballot production until after the ballot.
So there is theoretically a limit. I mean, you can't. It's not like you can show up at the election commission the day before the election and say, "Okay, I want to run for public auditor."
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. And so it was determined that regardless of whether or not she had her paperwork in by the 26th, she was still nonetheless eligible to run for the office.
Yes, she had presented an email message to. She had sent an email message to me, and then before the Wednesday meeting, and then after the Wednesday meeting, and before the Saturday meeting, she had delivered a letter for the Guam Election Commission.
Okay. All right. So as simple as that. And now she is going to be in the Wednesday edition of the Guam Daily Post. It only shows B.J. Cruz and Doreen Crisostomo. But on the actual ballot that you will see, it's going to be Doreen and B.J. and Yuka Hechanova.
Yes, that's correct.
Yuka's my friend, so you can vote for her if you like. So like one of my running. Are you allowed to vote, right?
We're allowed to vote, but we're not allowed to tell you who we're voting.
Well, I didn't think you would, actually. I didn't think you would. All right, listen, I'm going to let you. Is there anything that the people need to know about the Election Commission today besides the fact that we're going to be certifying all of the candidates tonight?
Well, we're going to have the ballot placement drawing, too. And that will take place at 6 o'clock here on the third floor. Candidates have been invited to come or designate someone to come to pull their name so that we'll know what number they'll be on the ballot.
This is a pivotal moment in the careers of some politicians. Because everybody wants to be number one on the ballot or the last one on the ballot, right?
That's what I hear.
Kind of don't want to get lost in that no man's land that is the middle of 20 different names.
Yes, that's what we see.
Okay. All right. Well, so we will have a number of headlines tomorrow, the certification of the candidates, as well as the ballot placement of the candidates.
That's correct.
And when do you anticipate having the sample ballots out?
On or before July 11th.
Okay. We got time. All right. Well, so I'm going to let you run because I know how busy you are.
Thank you so much, Ray Gibson.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Always fun talking with Maria Pangilinan from the Guam Election Commission because it's always fun to see what they are up to over there. Frankly, this is the only reason. This is the sole reason why talk radio exists at this time of year. Frankly, we ought to be doing recipes at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? There ought to be some recipes for, I don't know, chow or something like that. But we're here in the midst of this election year, so this is going to be what we talk about. And there's plenty and all to talk about. There was the convening of the Election Commission to talk about some complaints by Troy Torres and Bob Klitsky. Odd to see their names side by side in stories. But I don't know. Didn't necessarily want to go over that. Guam Education Board looks to sever ties with the charter schools. Finally. Okay, senators go into special session at the governor's behest for all of 6 minutes. Janela Carrera wrote this story. With only 2 hours' notice, Governor Calvo called senators into special session this afternoon to vote on his Bill 19S that would earmark revenues from a sales tax to address citations in the scathing report against the Guam Memorial Hospital from Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. I actually saw this while I was traveling. The governor called the session for an hour before the Committee on Rules was to meet to go over next week's legislative agenda. Lawmakers convened at 4:20 for a session that lasted less than 6 minutes. They discussed some housekeeping matters before Bill 19S was referred to Speaker B.J. Cruz's Committee on Appropriations, who then announced that a public hearing must first be held on the measure, which will be scheduled for July 5th at 6 o'clock. Of course, this would be moot. It would be moot if the legislature was to grapple with the legislation that is in front of them now.
Yeah. Well, they met at 4:20, so that perfectly explains it. They all
Right.
got together, passed around the hookah, said, "Okay, adjourn."
Well, I just figured that maybe
Speculative
they'd learn their lesson.
Yeah.
It's when, I know. I'm sorry. You want to hit me?
Where's Kevin? We need the eye roll.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The heck was I thinking? I told you what's going to happen. No! Bamboozlement. Bamboozlement will happen here today. Are we in the small talk portion of the program?
I think so.
Have you ever tried to go on a diet and have it sabotaged by your significant other?
Oh, no. Usually I'm perfectly capable of sabotaging
Doing
my
it
own diet,
myself,
yeah.
right, yeah. Trying to remember, what was it that we were on once upon a time? It was and I really, really tried.
Yeah.
The cabbage diet. Somebody had suggested that we go on the cabbage diet. And there's 101 cabbage diets that are out there. And it's basically you can eat all of the cabbage soup that you want to for like 2 or 3 days, and then as you combine that with your regular diet, your regular exercise routine, you're supposed to be able to lose like 10 pounds. So the idea is, if you've got a wedding that you're supposed to be going to and you can't fit your outfit or whatever, you just need to lose a few pounds, that's the diet for you.
Okay.
But so I'm looking at this diet, and the first thing it says is, okay, quit drinking beer. This is not the diet for Ray.
That's not.
This is not a Ray Gibson approved diet. But
I don't even have a
did.
sound effect. Tragic.
There is no sound effect. There is no possible sound effect that would.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Anyway, so there's they've conducted studies. A new survey shows 1 in 4 Americans has failed a diet because their partner led them astray.
Wow.
They were trying to do something positive and healthy for their life, and they open up the refrigerator and there's Rocky Road ice cream. They'll open up the cupboard and there's Oreos. Or my particular favorite, chocolate Pop-Tarts.
Oh, man.
And then I looked at the calorie count. Carl, do you know how many calories there are in Pop-Tarts? Carl?
Oh, Rick.
Focus.
I thought you were talking to Michael.
I'm talking to everybody. This is radio. It's not just.
Don't worry about calories. I'm pretty thin. I've been thin my whole life. So.
Well, then you need to eat, the what do you call it? Pop-Tarts.
Chocolate Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double up Carl's portion.
I think they're like 800 calories.
They're right.
For like the little aluminum foil pack.
So delicious.
I need a few cases of Oreos the way I look.
Did you know that you could put those in toasters?
So I did not.
What?
Somehow I missed that.
What kind of childhood did you have where they didn't at least once or twice put Pop-Tarts in toast? That's why they're shaped that way, because that's why they're called Pop-Tarts. So you put them in the toaster, and after they're done toasting, they pop up.
I may try that, just on your suggestion.
And the toasty part's really nice when you heat it up.
How did you not know that?
I led a deprived child.
Wow. This is like I was raised after the war, man. All right, so can I tell you one of the things that somebody's challenged me on this on Facebook, and I hate being challenged on anything personally, but there's one of the planks in Dennis Rodriguez's platform, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm probably going to mischaracterize it, but he says that he wants to give everybody kind of a second chance, keep them out of jail. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want any more second chances for people, because I think what's happened in this town is we've gotten used to, especially the criminal element, have gotten used to the idea that if they can make a judge tear up, or if they can come up with enough of a sob story, they'll get a second chance, and it won't be that difficult. What do you think?
I agree. I think consequences are there for a reason, and once you start softening them up too much, they kind of lose their effect. So.
Okay, well, you take care of that noise in the background, because I'm going to say it in your face, Brad, in your face. Because Brad was the one that was giving me a hard time. Brad was like, dude, this is we're religious and turn the other cheek kind of community. And I'm going, it started off that way, but now I think it's just to a point where you get these criminals, and they know what to say to the judge in order to get them out. And I'm going, no, we don't need that anymore. I'm with you. Let's do consequences. No barbecue for you because you dealt drugs. Anyway, so what did you want to talk about today?
I called because what you commented about voting for possibly 5 senators really resonated with me. I've been since I turned 18, I've been pretty much a lifelong Republican loyalist. I voted. It's very easy for me to vote. I'd go in and vote straight line Republican in the hopes that enough people would get in that would follow the Republican plank, financial, fiscal responsibility. And, the things that have happened in the last few years, most especially I think the beginning was the pay raise issue. That really irritated me and annoyed me. I took Ken Leon Guerrero's list into the voting booth for the first time in my life, and every single Republican that participated in that, I refused to vote for them. And this time will be the first time in my entire voting history that I will try to look for a few Democrats to add in, and probably between 5 and 10 total. So it's very, very different for me. I'm very cynical and kind of disillusioned. But
yeah, I don't know if I could get to 10 here, buddy.
Yeah, that may be stretching it.
Yeah, there's 39. There's 39 people that have gotten their paperwork together to run for the legislature, and I, honest to God, might not be able to get to any more than 5, maybe 6.
I agree. The idea has been batted around for a long time in the background about a so-called part-time legislature. I much prefer to call it a focused legislature because when the time is limited and people are busy, they get down to business. And a lot of the trivia and the stuff that, the side roads and all these side issues that are kind of minor and just basically keep people busy and away from the most important things, it falls away, like dead skin.
Yeah,
you don't need it anymore. So, I was wondering if you could comment, what are your thoughts on a focused legislature, one that, and I think it would open up the field to a lot of very successful and highly achieved people that can't afford to set down their careers, and I'm talking about in the public sector and private sector, but they've done a lot of stuff. I'm at the stage where I'm just totally ignoring the signs. I'm ignoring all the slogans.
Yeah, because we're past jaded on this. We're well past jaded on the conversation about who it is that's going to represent the wishes and the needs of the people in the legislature. And I'm telling you, there's a clear example of it right now. What have I been talking about all morning long is they're going back to the legislature and they're going to do exactly what I said they were going to do, and that is instead of repealing the increase in the BPT and the threat of an additional 2%, at the end of the day, 6% worth of taxation because they're unwilling to take the steps to right-size the government of Guam. And they are going to go through the kabuki of it, and they will, at the end of the day, God, I sound like Joanne Brown on that, don't I? I've said the end of the day twice. At the end of the deliberations, then they will be able to stand up on their rocks and say, look at me, my dear people of Guam, I voted down the tax increase. And they'll be right. They will have voted down that 2% sales tax, but we're going to get stuck with that 5% BPT. That's what's going to happen. And worse is the conversation, the possibility that was brought up by Senator Adda this morning that they might get bamboozled again by the administration just to take it to a 6% BPT and eliminate the visible sales tax completely. So there is that possibility, and we're setting the stage for it probably now as we speak. And so who at the legislature will have the temerity to say no? And they're going to say, well, you have to offer a plan. No, I don't. I do not have to offer a plan. You're coming to me telling me that you are incapable of reorganizing the administration or the government that you are currently in charge of. You're coming to me and telling me you can't do that. So you want me to come through and grease the skids at the expense of the taxpayers. I want to see 15 people at the legislature say no. And when they say, well, you have to come up with another plan or with an alternative corrective action plan, just say, no. Here, you want a corrective action plan? Let's go back to when the government of Guam was making $650 million a year instead of $999 million a year. Let's go back to then. Because we were able to fit the government into that number then. We should be able to do it now, right?
We should.
That's what. See, so you asked me what I want to see. That's what it is. So I'm looking over this list of 39 names. And honest to gosh, my friend, of the names, and I'll read them to you, but I don't see the point in doing it. But as I'm looking at these names, how many of them do I think have got the political? What's the word in Spanish for eggs? What's the
Huevos?
Huevos. Yes. How many of these 39 people have got the political huevos to say no tax increase?
BJ is a Democrat, but I appreciated the times when I'd see him sometimes when I just happened to be watching the proceedings in the legislature, and I'd see him with his head in his hands, and just a Democrat actually being tight-fisted on money, So I'm looking for that kind of people, and as you said, looking at the list, I wonder how many of these, quote newbies would have the political will, to do the hard stuff, the hard lifting, and I'm not very optimistic.
I know. So that's the trick here, guys. Is 39 names are going to get certified tonight, but you need to take a look at the list. And I think that's the question that we have to ask. And if you're not satisfied with the answer, then don't vote for that person. Move on. Because all the rest of it, is budget. And I could see there's a bunch of people in here that probably want to do some degree of social engineering as well. And that'll be fun to take apart as those elections get done.
Yeah, and I find that troubling also is that I hear more voices talking about heading in the States. There's some segment that is actually talking about heading toward socialism, which would actually increase the size of government, because government would then become, more and more powerful and have a voice.
Look at Venezuela. Why would? And there's the clearest example of the failures of socialism is right there in front of everyone. For God's sakes, they had to go to the zoo and start eating the animals in the zoo. Hey, let's hear it for socialism. Yeah, the people that start talking about that need to actually go to a socialist country and try to live there for a year before they start talking about we ought to do this here. Hey, at 9:57, I gotta run because the producer said.
Thanks, Ray. It was nice talking to you.
Always nice talking to you, Carl, buddy. I got a breakaway. Got the Fox News coming up and probably after these.
As we journey through 2018, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Rico. Yeah, it's amazing some of the things that people pick out of the program. Here I am trying to be, trying to carry on an intelligent conversation about, fiscal policy and life on Guam and the things that I think that should be indispensable to us that we don't have. This is within our reach, right? But yeah, and so what do people pick out? What sticks in their head? Me talking about Air Force One. Thanks. I appreciate that, Rico. I'm so glad that you listen. I'm so glad I could put a smile on your face. Ken Williams, who loves this program more than life itself, was talking about how his wife wishes that she could get to sleep on the airplane as quickly as I do. It's a small talk portion. Okay, so we're done with the politics and the political gossip. Let me just give you a piece of very practical. It's advice that works for me. And the lady from Lotte Karina Sue, you know her. Karina was sitting next to me on the plane, and she said, "My God, you were out like a light. How did you do that?" And naturally, I didn't want to tell her it was because I drank 18 beers. So I said, "It's white noise." On my phone is a gizmo is an app that does white noise. Now, there's a lot of people that use white noise for a lot of different. I know people with tinnitus. They got white noise and that plays off in the background so that they no turn the music down because I want people to be able to hear this. There might also be some moaning and groaning from that last gig I did. Is it playing? Right, sounds like tape hiss. But what that actually is, and you can program it so that it also does like rain. Or river sounds or forest sounds and things like that. So that's when I fall asleep. Now, normally you'd say, well, you're on the airplane. Aren't the jets making enough white noise for you? And the answer is no. I'm expecting to hear that. I'm not necessarily expecting to hear the sounds of a river or the sound of a fan or the sound of other things. So I play white noise, and believe it or not, usually within about 5 minutes of putting the white noise on, I am zombie. Right up until the flight attendant comes up and asks me what I want to eat, even though I told her that I was going to sleep. But she was pretty, so I didn't get mad. But it was one of those, I already told you I'm going to sleep on this airplane. Can you turn off the lights? Hey, can you put on the news? We're KUSG Agana. Here's Fox News Live.
Rappaport, Fox News. Various reports pointing to signs that North Korea is continuing to work on its nuclear weapons program despite promises made to President Trump in last month's summit.
Citing new evidence that the regime's been working to conceal key aspects of its nuclear program, intel officials say this undermines their pledge to surrender their nuclear stockpile. What was supposed to be